community liaison officer from Concordia University here in St. Paul, Minnesota. She will be talking to us about the programs that they have at the university and how they're dealing with COVID-19. Shortly after a conversation with Sylvia, we'll be talking to 4 leading Kenyan professors in the U.S. We'll be talking about international students in the U.S. and elsewhere around the world and what we need to do as a community to help them so that they're able to survive in this tough environment. Later in the show at 12:20, we're going to talk to a number of aspiring political aspirants here in the state of Minnesota. They'll be up on the show at 12:20 Central Time. We hope you enjoy that show. And so happy now to welcome to the show Sylvia Alexander Zetve, the partnership liaison from Concordia University. Hi, Sylvia. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Dr. Akari. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing good. Let me begin by saying it's an absolute honor to have you on the show, and particularly appreciate you and Concordia University for talking to KDRTV and our viewers.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here.
Good. So before we even ask our viewers before you introduce yourself to our viewers, I'm looking at the background there and I'm loving what I'm seeing at the background. Do you mind informing our viewers what that means really?
Absolutely. So this is a picture of our beautiful campus here in St. Paul, Minnesota. As you can tell, our leaves are changing with the beautiful cooler weather that we are experiencing here in Minnesota and the Twin Cities. And the statue directly behind me is Luther. And he is a very important individual in regards to the Lutheran community, at which Concordia University St. Paul is a Lutheran institution.
Oh, fantastic. I can't believe that we're already in the fall. A few weeks ago, it was all green. Now it's yellow, it's falling, but it is the beauty of the state of Minnesota. And I mean, it's beautiful. And let me say that I'm honored again that tomorrow is the first day when I start teaching at Concordia. So I can't tell you how much I'm so excited. And I can't wait to be in class tomorrow to talk to our lovely students.
That's wonderful. We are happy that you're part of our Concordia family.
Thank you, Sylvia, and I appreciate the university in general. So for our viewers, do you mind very quickly introducing yourself to our viewers?
Absolutely. My name is Sylvia Alexander Sade, and I'm a partnership liaison for Concordia University St. Paul. I am privileged to work with primarily our 2-year institutions, so our 2-year campuses here throughout the state and even through Iowa. I also work with a lot of our other partners, corporate partners, public safety partners, and it's just a wonderful opportunity for me to be able to connect with those excellent institutions, again, the public safety officers, healthcare, and corporations.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you for that lovely introduction. And let me say that it's been an honor having known you from I met you first at Anoka Community College, and I know you as a very passionate person, very intelligent, very likable, very sociable, and I think it's always nice to have you here. But before even we get into the niche details of the programs at Concordia, let's talk about what's really happening around the world, and that is COVID-19. And by the way, part of the reasons as to why we here at KDRTV started doing these programs is because we recognize that COVID-19 has changed the way we do things, and definitely we will be changing things in the way. Our new normal will be different, and that's why we're engaging in this community conversations. So personally, I've pretty much been working from home since March. So if you don't mind, to you as a person, can you share with our viewers what has been your experience with COVID-19 as a person and professionally?
Absolutely. Excellent question. So COVID-19 personally has been, to say the least, challenging, of course, for every single one of us. I do have 2 sons, Michael and Christopher. Michael is in 10th grade and Christopher is in 8th grade this year. And it has been a challenge being able to do my wonderful work for Concordia University St. Paul, in addition to being a mother and a teacher. So I'd like to say thank you to all those teachers that are out there. Your job is very difficult, and thank you for doing that. Professionally, again, I'm used to being on college campuses, which, as you said, Dr. Dr. Akari is how we first met. I'm doing a lot of online events, so online information sessions for those individuals interested in transferring to Concordia. I am also doing virtual game days where we play virtual bingo and students are able to win a prize. And this wonderful opportunity is amazing as well. And so it is challenging to connect with those individuals when you're not able to do it face to face. However, the beauty of COVID-19, like you said, is I'm able to work from the house. And in addition to that, I'm able to use my creative abilities to connect with students and partners.
Okay, thank you, Sylvia. Talking about COVID-19, it's interesting how, yes, it's a negative thing, but again, it's also important that we as human beings look at it from a more positive look. And I think when this all pandemic came in earlier the year, people were so worried about how the world was going to be. But really, I think we've adjusted quite well today as teachers and professors. People are working from home. Students are have to work from home. And I think now it's kind of really raising an interesting strategic partnership between the teachers or professors, students, and parents. As well, this has also affected businesses, just like our university and other universities have been affected. Governments and around the world have also been affected, and especially those of us who are immigrants, the difficulty of not really traveling really is a bit problematic. But let's focus a little more on Concordia University and how Concordia University is dealing with COVID-19. Because I'm sure there are a lot of people who are interested to know how you guys are doing and hopefully join. So how is Concordia University dealing with COVID-19?
Absolutely. So Concordia University St. Paul, we have implemented several safety measures for our students and our faculty staff. So ironically, we are having the majority of our traditional students right on our campus, right in buildings such as the one behind me. We're doing more face-to-face as much as we can. We understand technology is an amazing opportunity, but we also want to make that face-to-face, which is what one of the unique things of Concordia University St. Paul is our small class sizes. We have been treating frequently traveled hallways, classrooms, different areas on campus where students might gather to meet and have some coffee or talk about the project that they have, the library, etc. Something that's also super exciting, and I believe that is unique, is we are utilizing a disinfecting lighting system, which will treat our classrooms. So in addition to the actual chemicals that we are using, we're also utilizing the lighting system to be able to treat those classrooms. In addition to that, we have a HVAC, ionic sanitation unit. I'm using my notes for a second, I apologize. For air filtration throughout the buildings. And so that is not harmful to the ozone or to our environment or to faculty, students, staff, and visitors who might be on campus. So we're taking great measures to ensure that you are safe, our students are safe, we are safe, and we can try to get back to our old normal with our new normal.
So for clarity, at the moment, I know most schools really decided to go 100% online. I know Concordia has undergraduate, graduate, and postgraduate. Do we hold our students on campus or off campus? How's it right now?
Absolutely. So we're privileged to have a mix of that. So for example, our students who are doing more of our traditional on-campus programming are going to be and currently are on our campus. We're making a commitment again with the items that we just talked about, but also face masks as the rest of our state and country and world are utilizing. And then we also offer 100% online programming where students are welcome to come to campus and speak with professors such as yourself, Dr. Okari, and with individuals such as myself, but also we offer them 100% online with success coaches, and we'll get into a lot of that when we talk about the programs we offer. But so students are able to do both at this point at Concordia.
Okay, good. So before we focus on a specific group of students that I think KDRTV is more interested in, so maybe a good question to ask you, do you have any idea, as people are watching the show, and I think, wow, maybe that's a college I should go to, whether in person or online. Do you have any idea whether in the spring you're going to be online or part online or?
Yes, that is
Any
an
idea?
excellent. That's an excellent question. All of our 100% online programs are consistently online, pre-COVID, during COVID, and post-COVID. In regards to being on campus, my hope, I would need to check in with some of my colleagues on campus, but my hope is that we'd be able to do again the hybrid model or the face-to-face model as long as everybody is safe.
Okay, good. So for our viewers who are watching this, if they're asking hybrid model, what is that?
Absolutely. It's my privilege. Thank you for sharing that. So hybrid model is a little bit of both on campus and online. So there might be an opportunity where our numbers within the Twin Cities area are going up with COVID cases. So we may need to have e-learning. So students will be at home, and wherever home is, right, would be at home and have the opportunity to still engage with professors such as Dr. Okari and other wonderful colleagues that we have and faculty at the university. And then the hybrid piece is also then being in class. So it's really the best of both worlds. And we will implement that as we need to, again, to keep everyone safe. But if we can have students on campus for that traditional experience, that is our main goal, in addition to safety.
Okay, good. I think it's good to underscore that fact that safety is more important. And I think for our viewers who are watching, we also take the opportunity to tell people, hey, you got to take care of yourself. This COVID-19 is serious. I think protecting yourself and your family and loved ones, I think, is more important for us as human beings. So let's move to another specific group, Sylvia, and talk about a specific market. Just so you understand it for our viewers. By the way, for our viewers who are watching, if you have any questions for Sylvia, go to our Facebook page. We are live on Facebook. We are live on Twitter. We're also live on YouTube. If you have any question and or comment for Sylvia, post those questions there, and then we'll have one or two questions for Sylvia at the end of the show. So Sylvia, part of what we do here at KDRTV is what we call driving a positive diaspora narrative, meaning we pretty much focus on immigrants who come from different parts of the African continent, whether it's from your home country, Egypt, by the way, Kenya, Nigeria,
Yeah.
or any sub. And we'll talk about that in a moment. So the key point, we recognize that there are challenges, yes, but we need to be as positive as we can. And for us to be positive is to look at some targeted populations so that we try to encourage them to be positive in whatever they do. And so let's focus on the African immigrant students at Concordia University. Do you mind taking a moment to talk about the programs that do you have any African immigrant students in Concordia? If you do, what engagements do you have with them so that they have a positive experience on campus?
Absolutely. Thank you for this opportunity. Dr. Bruce Corey is an economist, and he is rooted in the experience of African, Latino, Asian, Native, American communities. And so he's got a wealth of experience in economic and academic inclusion and community empowerment. In addition, he has traveled to 25 countries and 6 continents, which is very exciting. Not only is he a wonderful individual and community member, we are also privileged to have him serve as our Assistant Vice President of Government and University Relations at Concordia University. In addition, he is the Vice President of Academic Affairs at Concordia University, St. Paul.
Okay, so talk about the African immigrant students that you have on campus. Do you have a number of them on campus?
So, great question. In regards to those numbers, that is not something that myself is aware of. I am more than happy to share that number and that information with you, Dr. Okari. But we
Yeah.
do have several. We're a very unique institution in regards to our student body. So while we are
Okay.
in Minnesota and we are mainly Scandinavian background of individuals who are born and raised and continue to have beautiful families here in our wonderful state, we also have
Yeah.
several students from Africa, from Asia, from Mexico, you name it. And so we're really privileged to have such a wonderful, diverse group of students, faculty, and staff. But in regards to that very specific number, I'd be honored to share that with you because I'm not sure at the top of my head.
Okay. So I think we're going to bring on the screen. We do have a screen. You're going to share it direct from the website about that. Ben, if you don't mind, please, for our viewers, if you don't mind sharing that link so that at least she was talking about the Connie. And by the way, you did allude to Dr. Connie's research. So Jean Galgalo, who is also the president founder of Little Africa, was on the show 2 weeks ago, and he actually he referenced the same study, and it's a very interesting study, really. Ben, if you have a moment, please, you can put that on the screen so that Sylvie can explain what that is. Okay, so
thank you very much.
Go ahead.
Sure. So this will outline our international admissions application process. As you can see, we've got an entire page on our homepage or on our website dedicated to international students and admissions. They're near and dear to our heart. If you, Ben, would be so kind to scroll down just a little bit where we talk about the application requirements, and I'll go ahead and share those right now as well. So we do require students to complete an online application. Wonderful. And then if we just click on undergraduate application process. There we go. Perfect. Excellent. Thank you. We will also require transcripts, so we are able to identify, your GPA, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But that is your grade point average, and it is essential to keep that grade point average very high as best as you can. Colleges don't look for necessarily a perfect 4.0, but we're really interested in just seeing your education and your academic career. In addition to that, we will ask that you provide us official transcripts from which provides us with an evaluation of your credentials from another country if you do have those. And so the National Association of Credential Evaluation Services, again, I'm happy to share more info on that. There are several different accredited bodies on that website. And so we as an institution are privileged to work with them and identify them as experts in the translation between a transcript from outside of the United States into the United States. We also are going to be looking at a certification of finances. We're going to look at a proof of English proficiency. And then finally, we're going to ask you for a typed essay. And you do have a couple of different options in regards to that essay, what you'd like to write about.
So to talk about the evaluation, do you mean like do you use the Western evaluation services? I think there are two bodies, right?
Yes, so exactly. WES is definitely one of those services, and there are several other that we do accept translations from.
Okay, and does this apply to, because I know I do have a lot of students who want to come on to the US, some want to come for undergraduate, graduate, and postgraduate. Are there different requirements, as best as you know?
Yes, there are going to be different requirements. The most important things to identify that are going to be very similar will be the online application. So you will be applying to Concordia University St. Paul. We will need the official evaluated transcripts and then your certification of finance. So those are three very essential pieces for both undergraduate and graduate and postgraduate studies here at the university.
Okay, so before we move to another topic, I'm going to engage you on that particular conversation because, by the way, my doctoral dissertation was about international students, so I'm very passionate about that topic. And shortly after this, we're going to engage with a couple of Kenyan professors who will be talking about international students especially. So one of the challenges most international students have is that fear, not even international students actually, we're talking about prospective students. One of the greatest challenges they have is that if they go on campus, probably they might not be able to be as successful as the native students, if you will, in part because there's that fear of their language. Maybe the language, look, I speak my accent is not very good, and therefore maybe that college is not for me. They might say maybe the way I look and or sound might not be able to thrive, right? And those are some. I know that's not your part, but are those some of the experience our students see, and is the campus working to make sure that the students are as comfortable as they can? And I'm talking about immigrant students here.
Absolutely. So myself, with a background, I'm 100% Egyptian. So both my mother and father were born and raised in Cairo, Egypt. My sister Mary was also born in Cairo and came to the United States when she was 3. So this population of individuals is very near and dear to my heart because that is my upbringing. While I was born here in Minneapolis, that is still, the roots of who I am. And so my family has experienced a lot of Dr. Akari, exactly as you said, the accent, the color of my skin, how I look, how I talk, my mannerisms, etc. Concordia University is such a wonderful place. They're so accepting of several different backgrounds. So immigrant students, students such as myself who were born here but my roots are from somewhere else. And so they assist me, even as a staff member, to really implement my background and how I was raised into the background of here. Living as an American, here in Minnesota. So Concordia has several different opportunities for students, very caring faculty such as yourself, staff such as myself, I would like to think, and students. And so it's really just a great opportunity for anybody who is interested in. Really, education is our main focus. And so if you are serious about education, we are the place. If you are serious about fitting in, we are the place. We also have a Hmong Center right here on our campus in St. Paul as well. And it is a beautiful, beautiful center. And so if you are interested in learning more how we work with different populations across the Twin Cities and across the world, I do encourage you to come to our campus and see that. Also, if students or viewers would like to reach out to me to ask me how my experience has been as an Egyptian coming into Concordia University St. Paul, I would be more than happy to share my very personal experience. I have not experienced any negative thoughts, feelings, anything like that. And I just think Concordia is just a wonderful place to be. And like I said earlier, it is a family. And a family, it means, it doesn't have to mean a mother and a father, right? It could mean just every single one of us coming together to unite.
Yes. So we'll talk. See, on the same note, I think it's good to clarify for our viewers. Every university, and just like any institution, they have their vision and mission. But there is something unique about Concordia. Yes, I'm absolutely excited to be there tomorrow. I've been on campus and I have friends of mine who already started teaching there a couple of years ago. But it's also the region is a matter of it's important. I think it's a Lutheran church. Is that correct?
We are from the Lutheran roots, correct.
So really, which really underscores the fact that at least Concordia University is rooted in that aspect of family, religion, the caring of whoever you are. We love you, appreciate you. Talk about one topic here, Sylvia, before we move to the next topic that is important. I talk to a lot of students, right? I teach obviously a lot of students. I know students have good experiences and not very good experience sometimes with the teachers in and out of class. Students do care a lot about grades. And I know you're talking about grades. Grades is important. I always tell my students, look, if you come to campus and your focus is on acquiring a grade, then something's not right. Then you're missing the essence of learning. The key point is that if you get to a class, you really need to pick something, learn something, unlearn, continue learning. That's the essence of being in a class, not grades. But I also understand that students really care a lot about grades. Talk about grades on campus on Concordia University. How important is that for a current student?
Absolutely. So grades are very important. Your GPA, again, that grade point average from your very first college class until you graduate will follow you. So again, those are very important. But like you said, Dr. Okari, it's really as long as you are learning, right? So for example, I myself am a student at Northeastern University in Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm working on my doctorate right now. And it is very important for me to, of course, have those good grades, but for me to also sit back as a student and say, I don't understand this. What does this mean? So maybe if I get an 8 out of 10 on my paper, I don't get 100%, but I've learned something. I've learned from that mistake. I have learned to ask, what more can I do? Or if you're in an interview process, for example, a little outside our realm here about education, but if you don't get a job, In my past experiences, what I have done is I have asked, what could I have done better? So it's really critically thinking, looking beyond that initial, again, that grade is important, but we want you to learn. We want you to also have a great experience, whether you're on campus or online. And that, again, is connecting with our faculty, with our staff, and most importantly, I believe your classmates as well, because you can learn a significant amount, again, with such a diverse group of students here at Concordia.
Oh, very good. So before we talk about online classes, Sylvia, I know there are a lot of students. Some people, the economic argument. Oh, I don't want to go on campus, take student loans. You know, maybe I don't want to work 3 jobs. I'm a mom. All those kind of stuff. Do you have an idea whether there are scholarships and grants for students, and if any, particularly for minorities?
Absolutely. So at Concordia University St. Paul, again, we are privileged to connect and have partnerships with several different organizations. For example, Anoka Ramsey Community College, like you shared, where we met. And so any
Yeah.
student who graduates from Anoka Ramsey Community College or any other two-year school, specifically within the state of Minnesota and one in particular in Iowa, Concordia University gives an institutional scholarship of $2,000. So what that means is we at Concordia are giving that to you as a student who has graduated from a two-year school within our state. We also currently have a COVID scholarship of $500. And so that is very specific if a student has been affected financially due to COVID, and there's a couple of other requirements to meet. But again, that is institutional aid that we at Concordia are giving to students. So you will receive a minimum of $2,000 if you graduated from a two-year school, or if your employer is a partner of Concordia, and we have hundreds of partners. We're very privileged to have such a great reputation, a great institution that precedes us, where we can connect with organizations. And then again, the $500 for COVID. Now, if students were to come to an on-campus program, we offer, again, that GPA. Depending where it falls, we have a $2,000, a $4,000, or a $6,000 scholarship that we give based on your merit, based on your grades. And then again, if you work at a partner institution, or if you are a partner school of ours and graduated from there, an additional $2,000. So oftentimes, the cost, just in general, the stick is a sticker shock, right? You're thinking, oh my gosh, it's going to cost me $22,000 for the full year at Concordia if you take classes on our campus. $22,000 is a lot, but when you think about it and compare us with some of our wonderful other four-year colleagues out there, we are the cheapest private school within the state. And then again, we take all that institutional aid, in addition to any FAFSA that you might qualify for. So the federal aid, any communities that you are a part of, that you can write an essay, and if they give you a scholarship. So really, the initial thought is very daunting and is very nerve-wracking, especially with that cost. But specifically for Concordia, with our institutional aid, it is amazing, in addition, again, to other aid. In regards to specific international students or immigrant students, I would need to connect with my colleagues in the financial aid department to confirm that. I'm pretty sure that there are, but that is beyond my expertise of admissions and outreach.
Okay. But also, thank you, Sylvia. So it's really important to underscore the fact that that's a likelihood, but getting a good score is important, and at least getting on campus is another. So before we finish, I want to talk to our viewers again. If you have any questions and or comment for Sylvia, please go on the Facebook page, post that question there. She'll be able to answer. And if she's not able to answer, I'll make sure that I get those questions and then I'll forward them to you at a later time. So for viewers, please do so if you don't mind. So Sylvia, let's talk another topic about here. I always talk about this very passionately in my community engagement, and I always say school is not meant for just young people. I always say school is meant for anybody. By the way, my students have, the youngest student I have in my class is 17 years old, and the oldest is 67. So what that
Wonderful.
really means is that when you talk in the programs that we just showed there moments ago, Concordia has undergraduate, graduate, postgraduate. What it really means, even with COVID-19, is still somebody at 18, 19, 20 years old who is contemplating or going to college can up to Concordia. But at the same time, somebody who is in 50 or 60s, is a parent, or even kids have grown, can still enroll on Concordia University, whether residentially or online. So do you mind taking a moment to explain to us, and I think Ben will bring up those programs on the screen, talk about online programs at Concordia University.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Yes, there is kind of this thought where you have to be 18, 19, or young in order to go to college. I think it's wonderful if you're right out of high school or if you're in that age group and you want to continue your education. I applaud you. I also applaud you if you are somebody such as my age, in my 40s, again, going back to school to get my doctorate degree. There's a lot of life experience that I do bring to that classroom and that I do bring to my research. And so I always believe that you're never too old to learn. And that is something that my dad has taught me, who is now resting in peace. And my mother continues to remind me when I start to lose a little steam with my education, because it is tough, right? And so my mom has just continuously reminded me about that piece. So yes, I think that it is great in to bring in your diverse background. And also, I think those 17 and 18-year-olds can teach me some information. And again, with my life experience, I can teach them as well. So our oldest son is doing post-secondary enrollment. So he's in high school taking one college course. And so it's very cool and how him and I can connect and relate to what he sees today and what my experience has been. So you're never too old to learn anything, and education is very important, I believe, for your prosperity and for continued growth.
Okay, good. Do you want to talk about the cost for online? Is that different? Or, okay, go ahead if you don't mind. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. So, like I had shared, if you were to come to campus, our tuition for the full, so academic year, so all of fall semester, all of spring semester is 22,000, and that is without, again, any scholarship or aid. So that brings it down significantly. For our online programs, specifically, if we were to go to our bachelor degree programs, for example, those programs are $420 per credit. And those programs run anywhere between 36 credits to 44 credits. And so, one unique opportunity that we have with Concordia is, again, if a student were to go to a 2-year institution, we accept up to 90 credits of the 120 credits required to graduate with that 4-year degree. So that means we highly encourage students to continue to take credits at a 2-year institution, take all of those 90 credits, and then bring them to Concordia to save yourself a significant amount of money. In regards to the cost for undergrad, again, it's $420 per credit. I like to take that middle point of 40 credits. So if I did my math right, I think it's 16,800. I think right off the top of my head, minus the
Yeah.
$2,000 scholarship for the partner, minus $500 for COVID if you're eligible, and then any money that maybe your employer offers you to go back to school. So, higher education is exciting, it's exhilarating, it's scary, it's everything that a student would dream of. But the financial piece is oftentimes what keeps students from progressing. And I think it's very important to actually sit down and look at those numbers. And myself and my colleagues back at Concordia are more than happy to show you how it actually is reasonable and attainable to obtain that 4-year degree, master's degree, or postdoctorate degree.
Okay. So, Sylvia, another quick question here. Somebody just texted me to ask you a question. By the way, somebody watching from Kenya just asked me a question, and I want to ask you the same question. If you have any idea about this. So, once international students enroll on campus, and one of the greatest challenges international students have is that, yes, they come here with sponsorship, but maybe after a year or so, sometimes those sponsorships disappear, and then students are almost left alone. And that's why I'm having the professor stand by to talk about what we need to do to help those international students. Do you have any idea of if those students ever get on campus jobs? If any, what is the process?
Great question. So we do have on-campus jobs. As an international student, this does go beyond my scope of expertise. But what I can share with you is we do have again, on-campus jobs, you would apply for that on-campus job. Oftentimes it would be in the admissions office, for example, filing, running files from building to building right here on campus, answering the phones and really starting to build your portfolio as a professional. In the registrar's office, you might be entering some data of transcripts that come in from students. Again, preparing you for that next phase in your life. And so, again, with international students, I will, again, would be more than happy to look into that to confirm that that is an option right on our campus, where if you live in and go to school and work, then you don't have to commute outside of our campus. And I'll also share one quick thing with that piece, is that you would apply through the financial aid. So FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, would begin that application process in addition to talking to the departments on campus that you are interested.
Sylvia, do international students qualify for FAFSA, student loans? Do they?
Again, that's beyond my expertise. I do know that there might be that request for students to apply for that, and I think it's also a case-by-case basis, right? So every student comes to us, whether they're living here in the States or outside of the States, come to us from a very diverse background in regards to finances and the application process. And so that is something that my colleagues in international admissions would definitely be able to confirm. Great question.
Okay. Last question, and not to put you on the spot on that one. In-state and out-of-state tuition, is there a difference?
Another great question. There is no difference. And the reason for that is because we are a private institution. So our tuition is going to be the same if you live right here in the Twin Cities, if you live in greater Minnesota, or if you live in Florida, for example. And so our tuition, again, there's no in-state, out-state. We don't have reciprocity with other states because it is the exact same for every student in regards to tuition here on our campus.
Okay, so good. I think you did well. So on a lighter note, before we finish up here, I think you did extremely well. So COVID-19, one thing I've experienced with COVID-19, a lot of people, including myself, sometimes are stressed and depressed and all these things going around, worried, not going outside. But having talked to you for the last 36 minutes, or 40, okay, almost 40 minutes, you look very happy, charming, and energetic. What is the secret behind that? What keeps you going during these difficult times of COVID-19?
Absolutely. So I remember my blessings. I remember my husband, Sam. I remember my two sons, Michael and Christopher. Those are the people who drive me every single day to remind myself that there is wonderful things in life. My sister, my mother, and then again, my father looking down, hopefully having some pride and some happiness in what his daughter is doing today. So that is really my blessings, is what helps me. I also, while it is difficult and while I think COVID has affected every one of us directly or indirectly, I just remember, to be happy. I watch the shows that make me happy. I meditate. I work out. I connect with mothers and other students and faculty and staff. And it's not the same as we met each other right on campus, but this is definitely a wonderful opportunity for me to remember how much I've been blessed and the good things. And then to deal with those harder things that do come to me in life, but not letting those take over my whole world and really letting the happiness be my center of attention.
Okay, good. Sylvia, so that we make sure that we don't go beyond the scope of the expectation of the interview, you did mention you're originally from Egypt, and obviously want to thank your parents and your mom especially for raising you in the very best way, and obviously a privilege to call you a colleague on campus. So people watching you are mostly immigrants from the African continent, and you have that lineage. What do you say to them? Obviously, not related to campus, but they're here in the country struggling to have the American dream. What do you say to them?
Absolutely. I would say continue on the righteous path, continue being the good person that you are, continue embracing yourself and engaging yourself with those communities around you. I remember hearing stories of when my parents first came to the US from Egypt in regards to sometimes people were really supportive and wanting to learn from them. And I encourage you to connect yourself with those individuals that you find here within your community. There were also individuals who were not so excited that somebody from another country was here living in their state or taking their jobs per se from them. So just again, remember to do the right thing. Remember to continue to engage yourself with Dr. Okari, Dr. Corey, all these other wonderful individuals, hopefully myself, to really work together and to learn from each other. Because I've learned a lot from my mom's and dad's experiences of, again, being treated very respectfully and not. And that has changed the way that I interact with other individuals, whether they be from Egypt or Kenya or Europe or Canada, whatever it might be. So again, just engage yourself in the right path with the right people and continue doing what you know is true in your heart.
Oh, thank you, thank you. That's so kind. You have no idea. I appreciate you a lot. KDRTV appreciate you, and I'm hoping, Sylvia, we're trying as much as possible because we did recognize that the immigrant population really doesn't have a platform where we can share these kind of ideas and experiences to drive what I called early on as a positive diaspora narrative, and the fact that you're from Egypt and you have this huge experience, my hope and request on air is that you please come back again on there to share not necessarily issues about Concordia, but other topical issues. Is that your promise?
Absolutely.
Please say yes.
It would be my honor and pleasure.
Okay. Thank you, Sylvia. So what I want to do, Ben is going to take me off the screen, and I'm going to give you a chance, 1 minute, to make a closing statement, talk to our viewers why they need to join Concordia University.
Absolutely. Thank you again to everybody who took your time to view this interview. It is my honor and pleasure to be here. Again, Concordia University is a wonderful institution. Myself, as a person of color and as a mother and obviously as a woman of color, I've had such great experiences at Concordia University St. Paul. I know that you will too. It's a very caring, very wonderful, and like I said to Dr. Okari, welcome to the Concordia family, and that is exactly what it is. It is a family of very unique, diverse backgrounds and ways of thinking, and I know that you'll just feel right at home just as I do.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. I appreciate you. I can't wait for tomorrow to be on campus, but most importantly, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for taking time to talk to us on KDRTV, and more important, talking to especially our target population, which is the immigrant population. So again, we also thank Concordia University for obviously giving you the chance and giving a chance to so many of our immigrant students to have an experience and actually have jobs on campus. So on behalf of KDRTV, I want to thank you, and also want to extend the same thanks to Concordia University. And hopefully, as I get on campus tomorrow, I hope to make some valuable contribution to the campus as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
All right. Thank you so very kindly. So, thank you. And for our viewers, thank you for that. We've been talking to Sylvia Alexander from Concordia University. So we will take a quick commercial break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk to a number of Kenyan professors who will be talking about. Standing by the way, we have that on the screen. So once we go for a commercial break, we'll have on air Dr. Jesse Mushahi from Indiana, Professor Gerono Rotich, standing by from University of North Carolina. Also standing by is Professor Janet Mbaha from Alabama A&M University, and respected Professor Peter Nyambui from Florida Gulf University. I think they're extremely knowledgeable people here. So we're going to engage a conversation with them shortly, and that will be right after the commercial break.
We know how stressful it can get to take care of the healthcare needs of your loved ones, especially when they live far away from you. Money transfer services have expensive fees. They cannot ensure that your money is spent on the intended healthcare needs. And there are many questionable pharmacies that sell low quality, unsafe, and even counterfeit medications. That is why we created Diaspora, a secure, quick, and cost-effective way to pay for the medications of your loved ones through our network of accredited and registered pharmacies. So here's how it works. Meet David. He lives far away from home. Unfortunately, his mother was recently diagnosed with diabetes, but she can't afford her new medication. So after funding his Diaspora account, David enrolls his mother as a beneficiary, and a unique PIN code is issued. Think of this as a digital voucher that David paid for in advance. David's mother presents the PIN code at one of our accredited and registered in-network pharmacies. The cost of her medication is deducted from David's account, and his mother can walk in and out of the pharmacy with the medication she needs. It's as easy as that. David can also assign his uncle who lives close to his mother as a caretaker to help her follow the new diabetes treatments. For extra security, David can also create one-time PIN codes and manually confirm and approve medication purchases too. It's easy to send more money home and hope they got spent on buying safe medication. But what if you can have control over how your money is spent, gain access to safe and quality medication, and purchase multiple medications for multiple family members who are in need? Your money goes a lot farther, and healthcare becomes a lot more inclusive. Diaspora was created by Diaspora members for Diaspora members that help provide greater access to safe, quality, and affordable medications for your loved ones back home. It's time for your loved ones to get the quality medication they need, and for you to get the peace of mind you deserve. Sign up today and register your loved ones for free at diaspocare.com. We know how stressful it can get to take care of the healthcare needs of your loved ones, especially when they live far away from you. Money transfer services have expensive fees. They cannot ensure that your money is spent on the intended healthcare needs. And there are many questionable pharmacies that sell low-quality, unsafe, and even counterfeit medications. That is why we created Diaspora, a secure, quick, and cost-effective way to pay for the medications of your loved ones through our network of accredited and registered pharmacies. So here's how it works. Meet David. He lives far away from home. Unfortunately, his mother was recently diagnosed with diabetes, but she can't afford her new medication. So after funding his Diaspora account, David enrolls his mother as a beneficiary, and a unique PIN code is issued. Think of this as a digital voucher that David paid for in advance. David's mother presents the PIN code at one of our accredited and registered in-network pharmacies. The cost of her medication is deducted from David's account, and his mother can walk in and out of the pharmacy with the medication she needs. It's as easy as that. David can also assign his uncle who lives close to his mother as a caretaker to help her follow the new diabetes treatments. For extra security, David can also create one-time PIN codes and manually confirm and approve medication purchases too. It's easy to send more money home and hope they got spent on buying safe medication. But what if you can have control over how your money is spent, gain access to safe and quality medication, and purchase multiple medications for multiple family members who are in need? Your money goes a lot farther, and healthcare becomes a lot more inclusive. Diaspora was created by Diaspora members for Diaspora members that help provide greater access to safe, quality, and affordable medications for your loved ones back home. It's time for your loved ones to get the quality medication they need, and for you to get the peace of mind you deserve. Sign up today and register your loved ones for free at diaspocare.com. We know how stressful it can get to take care of the healthcare needs of your loved ones, especially when they live far away from you. Money transfer services have expensive fees. They cannot ensure that your money is spent on the intended healthcare needs. And there are many questionable pharmacies that sell low-quality, unsafe, and even counterfeit medications. That is why we created Diaspora, a secure, quick, and cost-effective way to pay for the medications of your loved ones through our network of accredited and registered pharmacies. So here's how it works. Meet David. He lives far away from home. Unfortunately, his mother was recently diagnosed with diabetes, but she can't afford her new medication. So after funding his Diaspora account, David enrolls his mother as a beneficiary, and a unique PIN code is issued. Think of this as a digital voucher that David paid for in advance. David's mother presents the PIN code at one of our accredited and registered in-network pharmacies. The cost of her medication is deducted from David's account, and his mother can walk in and out of the pharmacy with the medication she needs. It's as easy as that. David can also assign his uncle who lives close to his mother as a caretaker to help her follow the new diabetes treatments. For extra security, David can also create one-time PIN codes and manually confirm and approve medication purchases too. It's easy to send more money home and hope they got spent on buying safe medication. But what if you can have control over how your money is spent, gain access to safe and quality medication, and purchase multiple medications for multiple family members who are in need? Your money goes a lot farther, and healthcare becomes a lot more inclusive. Diaspora was created by Diaspora members for Diaspora members that help provide greater access to safe, quality, and affordable medications for your loved ones back home. It's time for your loved ones to get the quality medication they need, and for you to get the peace of mind you deserve.
So, and again, a very warm welcome to all of you. Welcome back again to KDRTV Live. We are live. Professor Ndiangui, we are live. It is 11:20 now Central Time, 12:20 Eastern Standard Time, and that should be 7:20 East African Time. As promised, following a conversation with Sylvia Alexander from Concordia University here in St. Paul, Minnesota, we're again honored to continue our conversation around education, and more specifically, we'll be talking about international students, and with a special focus on Kenyan international students in the diaspora, and particularly those ones here in the United States. And again, in a continuation of our diaspora narrative, we are very honored today as KDRTV to engage some of the Kenya's very brilliant minds here in the United States. Among others, here we have Dr. Jesse Mushahi, who is joining us from Indiana. We also have the respected own Professor Jeron Rotich, who is also joining us from North Carolina, University of North Carolina. Also joining us from Alabama A&M University, Professor Janet Mbaha, and the always respected Professor Biren Ndiangui, who is also joining us from Gulf University down in Florida. So I'm going to bring them on the screen so that we can engage in this conversation. So thank you. So we have them on the screen now. Honored again. So probably what I want to do, guys, is good to see you. Good to see you on. Okay. So okay. So I think let's kick that on out. We'll get you back momentarily. So let's begin. You have it's difficult to go through your entire resume, but if I could, let's begin by doing the introductions. Okay, you did, Professor Mushahi. You're okay. So maybe let's go down to Alabama and my home sweet Alabama. I love that song, Janet. If you don't mind.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, introduce yourself to our viewers, please.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever may apply to you. So my name is Dr. Janet Mbaha Zaneski. I'm a professor of health science and human performance at Alabama A&M University. And specifically, I train teacher educators. So I'm a teacher educator, and I prepare teachers for physical education for USA schools. So I've been in the business of teaching for so many years, over 30 years teaching, and I'm in a position to discuss this program, to be part of this program, because I have been a student in the USA, and therefore I've been an international student experiencing problems, challenges, and have solutions to some of those problems. Thank you so much.
Oh, good to talk to you. That's from Janet Baha from Alabama. Janet, you said 30 years. You look 29 to me and to our viewers.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yes, I've been in the business for long, thanks to the area of physical education.
Oh, thanks. We'll get to that in a moment. But also, let's move from Alabama. Let's go to Indiana, and then we have Dr. Chesa Mujahi. Dr. Mujahi.
Good morning, good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Jesse Muchai. I am not a professor. I am an engineer, so I'm the only odd one out here. PhD in mechanical engineering. I went to Auburn University, very close to where you are, Alabama A&M. That's where I got my undergraduate. Myself and my wife and 4 children live in Indianapolis, Indiana. I have worked for the same company for 19 years. That is Cummins Engine Company. We make diesel engines, electric vehicles, and many power propulsion equipment. So I am here as a board member of KESID. I have a great passion of coaching, mentoring international students, and really even local students, especially young boys. Hence my passion into this course.
Thank you, Dr. Muchai. It's good to see you. It's good to meet you. And then now let's move east a little bit and meet the always familiar and the most admirable Kenyan professor. I'm sorry, I'm being biased here a little bit, and I apologize. Professor Rotich Gerono, joining from North Carolina. Introduce yourself to our viewers, Professor Gerono.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is. I am honored to be here with my greatest colleagues, and thank you, Dr. Okari, for giving us this opportunity to be here today. I'm so blessed to be here on a Sunday morning with my wonderful, wonderful friends and colleagues that we've worked tirelessly together to bring KESID together. I am Professor Gerono Rotich. I am a professor and department chair of kinesiology and recreation administration at North Carolina Central University. I have worked with the North Carolina University system for 19 years, actually. I was at North Carolina A&T, where Dr. Muchai graduated from, for 17 years, and I just moved to North Carolina Central, which is down the street. We're eagles, so we fly like eagles. And that's where I'm working. I am the founder and CEO of KESID Foundation. This is Kenya Students in Diaspora Foundation. I am also serving as a Kenya KESA president, that is a Kenya Scholars and Studies Association. This brings scholars together from diaspora, from international Kenyan scholars outside Kenya together to discuss, to present, to share ideas, and to network. I am also on the board of publications and research for the UNESCO Traditional Sports and Games. That is a commission that was developed by UNESCO, and I'm actually one of the 5. I represent the United States. I am also on the board of the Kenya Christian Fellowship, where I serve and as an assistant director for the Promise Generation. The Promise Generation is an age group between 18 and 35. So that is a college group that that you can see my passion is for this young generation. And then I was recently recruited to serve on the Catch Foundation. That is a 501c3 foundation that is based in Houston, Texas. They're actually working with the Ministry of Kenya, Ministry of Education and KIA to develop competency-based curriculum in health and physical education in Kenya. And then lastly, I am on the board of the Kenya Diaspora Alliance USA chapter. Thank you.
Resumes, I couldn't go through all of that. And last but not least, we can bring on the screen as well, Professor Ndiangui, Ben, if we have him on. Professor Ndiangui from Florida. Okay, do we have him, Ben? So excuse us, he has to move. We usually have 3 panelists, so when you have more than that, okay. No, okay, looks like he's having a hard time getting to that. So that's okay, thank you guys. It's good to have you on the show so that we talk about a topic that I'm very passionate about, a topic that I know Professor Rotich has been extremely passionate about, and all of you and most of the Kenyan professors here in the US, in talking about international students. I think that's a segment of our population that we also need to talk about, especially during this COVID-19. Before we get into the details of these international students, let's start from Professor Gerono. You're the founder and president of KESID. If you don't mind, to our viewers, please tell our viewers what that really is.
Again, KESID, Kenya Students in Diaspora Foundation. It's a foundation, an independent 501c3 organization that is registered in North Carolina. The organization was established. I started this organization in 2019. Like Janet said and Dr. Muchai said, all of us came to this country as international students. I don't know what your experience was, but it was a struggle. It was a very difficult journey. I had to navigate through the system by myself. Of support at that time. That was in the 90s. So I struggled with the culture. I was in Rochester, New York. I struggled with the environment. It was extremely cold. And I also struggled with everything. It was just so different. And at the time I came, I had left a child who was 1 year old. So on top of just the misery of leaving my child behind, and then coming into Rochester, New York, which was very everything, it was a very difficult process. And I remember going through that journey. And when I finally made it through the struggles and graduating, I vowed and I said, God help me. When I make it through into this country, I'm going to find a way to pay back and to pay forward, because I do not want anybody to go through the struggles that I went through. At some stage, I wanted to give up. If I had a ticket, I would have gone back, but that was not an option. So anyway, after I graduated, I moved through the system. I became a full professor and an administrator. I thought that was an opportunity to help our students. So I started this group, established the organization, and it's purposely for advancing the academic success. It's exclusively for advancing the academic success and career growth of Kenyan students in diaspora. So any student who are in diaspora. Prior to that, I would get a lot of calls from student athletes, from students who are having different challenges, and people would call me. So I realized that this was something that was an ongoing problem, and we needed to get together and come together to see how we can help them. So again, I started as a WhatsApp group in January 2019. But then it came up. Right now we have 2 WhatsApp groups, we have a Telegram group. So I realized that I needed to really move on with this. So I registered the organization, especially when COVID hit. So when COVID hit, that is when the challenges even became extremely, we realized that there was a big need for us to really do this together. So the KESID Foundation is provide mentoring. Again, we're here as mentors. Janet is here. Dr. Muchai is the CFO. Janet is a board member. Dr. Ndiangui is a board member. So through, we come together to provide mentorship, to provide cross-cultural training for our students, to help them through their scholarship process, empowerment, and just to give them hope, to support these students so they can succeed. Because I can imagine if I succeeded and I didn't have a lot of support, I can imagine how well our students would do if they get the support, if they get the mentorship, if they get the guidance, if they get the resources, synergy. So we thought, but this is an organization that brings the synergy together, brings the resources together, brings the community together, so that we can empower our young students who are our future leaders, who are our next community leaders, to again in the community, to take the skills to the global level. So if students succeed here, then they will really take the skills to the next level. So our vision is to empower and equip students to achieve their academic and professional goals, and to contribute to a global diverse workplace. We want students to graduate who can take up positions here, just like Dr. Muchai, Dr. Linda, and all of us, Dr. Janet, who are doing different things for this community. So the mission is to empower Kenyan American students to expand their horizons as global professionals and community change agents. Again, we provide mentoring, advisement, career coaching, and scholarship support. We promote acculturation, global connections. Our next goal is to really support and to empower those who want to study abroad. Down the road, because we are 501c3 organization, we want to see if we can seek for funding so we can provide scholarship to support research and collaboration, study abroad, service learning, and community engagement. We continue to facilitate workshops, monthly workshops, symposiums, local and international collaborative academic trips and conferences. So again, we're coming up with all ideas to support our students. So our activities, we target the following groups. We target Kenyan international students in diaspora, Kenyan international student athletes in diaspora. Student athletes have very different challenges compared to the regular student. And then we have the Kenyan American student who is in America. My children and your children. My children and your children have totally different experiences. So we want to partner with American students who are interested also in study abroad and collaborative in research and projects, in study abroad and cultural events and study abroad. So our board is composed of industry leaders. We have extensive industry leaders. We have an extensive board that includes industry leaders. We have professors. We have community leaders, organization leaders. We have people such as the president, the founder of Kemen. We have Dr. Ndiangui. Again, the board is very broad. They bring different expertise, different experiences, and different opportunities that would broaden our students. So again, I want to thank you, and I hope you can join us, because again, these are our future leaders. If you look at our organization, Dr. Okari, who is going to run this TV show in the next 10 years? It's the young people. So let's join us to support our young people. Let's support this generation, because they have a lot of talents, they have a lot of gifts, and they're very promising. They just need us to support them. So join us in paying back and paying forward to support our students. Thank you.
The entire panel is on here, so this makes life much easier for us. Thank you, Professor Chirono. By the way, you make it. Okay, so we make sure that the echoes are not there anymore. So thank you, Professor Chirono, for the initiative. It's great that you're doing this, and we also not think about ourselves, but also think about the next generation. So we're happy now to have from the Gulf Coast in Florida, Professor Peter Ndiangui. Professor Ndiangui, if you don't mind, introduce yourself very quickly to our viewers, and then pick on from where Professor Teach left to talk about the immediate challenges facing our Kenyan international students here in the U.S.
First of all, thank you so much, Dr. Okari, for inviting us. Just listening to Dr. Jeroen Tish is like education to empowers me to just move on. My name is Peter Ndiangui, and I was born in a village called Madhakoine village in Nyeri, Kenya. And I'm an older man, I'm the older generation. I was among those people born during the colonial times. And when my parents were fighting for independence, we were left there with mom, and there were a lot of problems. After independence, we were in those poor schools. And we were not meant to be anything. Until we get people like Wangari Maathai who came from our place and say, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, you can do it. And I started doing well in school because there were people empowering me, believing in me. Even the poor kid from the village can do something useful, can become somebody. And when I look at what I am doing now and looking back to where I come from, I feel so honored that there were some people out there who saw something that just because we came from a poor background, that you cannot be something, that they saw that I could be somebody. And they made me believe that I can be smart. And actually, I automatically became smart in the class because somebody believed in me. I'm sure I was reading. My teachers were very good, but because there was somebody empowering me. And because of that background, I went on teaching in St. Mary's, and St. Mary's was very good, which was a different kind of environment for me. And then it's from there that I was invited to come and teach in America. The kid from the village come and teach in America. And I look back and say, were it not for Wangari Maathai and so many other people in the village who believed in me, I could not be where I am. And when Jerono called me, can you join me to help? I went back. I don't help those kids for themselves. I help myself. I need the blessings from God. I am giving back because somebody gave me. My problems are not in America. My problems were where I was born, right from when I was born. And I know there were people in the villages who could not be anything because there was no mentor. The mentoring process is very important. Somebody, even what our kids are going through, making them believe, oh yes, you can overcome. You can be somebody. It doesn't matter where you came from. And that is what I give. So Jerono, I want to thank you so much for giving me a chance to get the blessings. By blessing others is like giving back what I got myself from the village. And I'm so honored to be a professor now in Florida Gulf Coast University. And there, all the kids there from Africa, I am the president of the African Network of Southwest Florida. They see me as their father. And all that I ask them to do is give me good grades and don't engage in nasty, self-destructive behaviors like drugs and alcohol and all that. Focus on your grades and you'll get it. And the finances, which are a major problem, and if I can now turn to the issues. We try to magnify finances sometimes, Jeremiah, let me tell you that. But if you're working hard, like they say, any child who is doing good will get a lot of support. The village comes in to support kids who are doing well much more easily than kids who are failing, who are taking drugs. And my students, I even get back, I ask them, I need to see your grades. And then I go to the people with the power, the financial aid offices, the president, anybody, help these kids. I joke sometimes, I tell them, these kids actually from Kenya are not that poor. They have a lot of wealth, but their wealth is in form of goats. If you can tell me how I can bring those goats here, that'd be fine. And they tell me, Peter, walk out with your kids, and they get some money for them. The kids, we work very well. So finances are an issue. And I'll address that a little bit more in a little bit later. But the more serious issue, more than finances, because we try to magnify the money aspect, the more serious issue is what we are doing now. By supporting those people, telling them there was a person like Geronimo Rotich who started like you, telling them there are people like Moshai who started like you, is working with Cummins now, telling them there are people like Janet and many, many other people who made it. Sometimes we magnify our suffering. It's not that bad, we can overcome. But the kids need to hear from us, because when you are in the valley and going through your troubles on your own and you have even no food, you don't think you will be able to get yourself out of it. We need that empowerment, and not just talk anyway. We also have to give financial support like we are doing, but also they need people to can turn to. Now they keep calling me. I call it, it's another one of those Gerono kids. They keep calling me. And I feel so honored that they're in California, in Texas, they're everywhere. They are calling me. And we just talk sometimes. I tell them, you can do ABCD. I say, thank you so much, Professor. Thank you. The other thing, of course, whether they like it or not, as you can tell, something I'm very proud of is my accent. As a professor, there was a time at the beginning I was like feeling like there's something wrong with me. Now I'm so proud that I have retained that Mazakwaini accent. But of course, that comes into play when I'm hearing others from different accents, and people are made to feel like you are inferior. We are not. We are as good as everybody else. We just speak like everybody else. So sometimes it may interfere with the academic side. Then the other thing, of course, is the requirements. I tell the universities, the leaders in universities, they talk about this a lot. You tell us every time you want international students, yet you make sure that you need them to do 12 credit hours, not like the local students here. You make sure that they are paying more than 3 or 4 times the payments. So they must do much more. They have to pay a lot more. And also, if they don't miss a class, then you threaten them with their fees are being withdrawn. Come on, put your money where your mouth is. And that's what my university and others said. I'm thankful for the universities which listen and give financial aid to these students. Like many of my students are given a chance. As long as they do good grades, they get the financial support. And we can direct them. That's what KESID is about. That's what we are doing. And I'm so honored. Jeremiah, being in this panel, being with these people, and passing on the message to say, the kid from Madakwaini village, who had torn shoes, torn everything. We walked to school 7 kilometers every day. I can be a professor here. I have something to give, and I'm honored to be part of this. Thank you so much.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Professor Ndemwe. So we're getting to the moment here. Again, for our viewers, if you have any questions for these experts, please put your questions on our Facebook page or YouTube or Twitter, and then we'll have an opportunity for them to respond to the questions. And I think as the two of you have already spoken, Professor Chiron and Professor Ndiangui, I'm able to relate to this, and there are many people who do this. And I want to make a point here, especially for the Kenyans in the US. I think almost 90+% of our population are quite well educated. And I think because of the challenges we face here in the US, some of them choose not to continue at school and sometimes end up in not very good situations, in part because probably there's a lack of information or a lack of mentorship. Of course, there are many challenges. Let's switch on to Professor Janet Mbaha. Janet, of course, there are so many challenges. You've gone through the same. You have a lot of students who've gone through the same challenges. From your perspectives, how do we handle the problems that Professor Ndiangui was talking about moments ago?
Thank you so much for sharing, Dr. Ndiangui, and we can all relate to the challenges that international students undergo. Because first of all, you talked about the accent. One of the things that I can tell the students, and we try to emphasize, is embracing who you are, because you cannot just remove that as a piece of cloth and throw it away. So you really have to embrace your accent. Educate people about your culture. Let them get to know where you come from, how you speak, how we pronounce words, and so on. Because when you come to the USA, for example, you'll find that they expect you to pronounce water. We say water because of our British accent, but they'll talk about water. So you should not try and talk like them, because at times that can just be confusing and it can be terrible. It can sound horrible. So you really have to embrace your who you are. Talk in your Kenyan accent. For example, I've been here for about 12 years. I have a daughter that came here, and she's in 2010. I came in 2008 in the USA. So having come here in 2010, by 2011, the daughter who was 15 years old was speaking like Americans. So whenever we were together, they would always ask, "Where are you from?" when they hear me speak. But for my daughter, she was able to get into the culture and be able to adapt the accent, the American accent, and speak very well as an American. But for me, it was so difficult, and it's difficult because I came here at the age of 40, and you don't expect me to change the accent, as Dr. Professor Ndiangui said. So with financial issues, financial problems, the challenges of finances, one of the things that we're doing, and with this platform that Dr. Gerono created, what we are doing is that we are trying to point our students into scholarship opportunities. Anyone that is getting the scholarship opportunities, we're sharing on this platform and telling them that there are opportunities for you to get finances. Because yes, finances can be challenging, because you come to the USA and you're going to receive a check of $800 and you're converting it into Kenyan shillings, and you're thinking it's a lot of money. By the time you pay rent and you're buying your books and you're doing other things, you realize that is very little money. So we are educating our students, trying to point them in the right directions, trying to show them where financial opportunities are. Financial aid, we have loans that are there from Discover. Salimai will give you loans if you are in good academic standards. And the other challenge that Dr. Ndiangui mentioned is focusing on your studies. So you're talking about 12 credit hours. So how do you ensure that you are staying in school, maintaining your visa, and not falling out of status? Because that is one of the greatest challenges. Because a number of students that have fallen out of status is for lack of knowledge of the policies that are existing when it comes to international students. So we are creating opportunities. We are inviting speakers to come to this platform, KESID platform, and be able to speak to students about opportunities that are there and how not to lose your legal status in the USA. When I came to the USA, I was at the University of Georgia. That is where I got my PhD in kinesiology from. And I met a friend from Tanzania, and this lady, like Gerono and I, were parents. So you come in as a graduate student, you are a parent. So you've left your children back home, you have left your family. So one of the things is that you'll keep missing your family members. There is a lot of loneliness. So how can you be able to ensure that this does not affect what you came to do in the USA? So for undergraduate students, it's very easy. They can join clubs, they can join associations, and they can be in other groups. But for adult students, sometimes graduate student work is about going to class and going home. They don't even have time for friendships. So we tell our students to try and find communities that can support their being socialized into this USA community, being able to look maybe for a Kenyan community or people that they share interests. Finances also, you also need to find communities that can also help. Like when I came to the University of Georgia, there was a church. I think churches play a very great role, big role. We had a church that would come at the beginning of the year, fall semester. They would always hold a session at the housing center, and they would bring staff for international students like clothes, pants, and other kind of support that they would be able to get. So we find that there are those opportunities, and we are able to share with our students on ways of connecting with these organizations or communities, church groups, and so on, so that they can be able to just be comfortable and focus on what they came to do. So it can be very difficult, but knowing the community is very important. Getting mentors like us. This community that Dr. Gerono formed is, out of the experience that we had, experiences that we had on our personal levels. Because at times you can be so lonely. You are struggling in class. And sometimes you're not even struggling. Remember, you are different. So you come to a community, maybe you are the only one that looks like you. I remember coming to a class, and I took a class a whole semester and no one spoke to me. I was in a class, at times I would sneeze and nobody would tell me, God bless you. But anyone else would sneeze and everyone would bless them. So you just find, okay, these are things that are happening. Probably those people don't even realize what they're doing. You find that you are alone. Nobody talks to you the whole semester. When they are supposed to form groups, you'll find that they are selecting groups, but isolating you or leaving you out because you have an accent, and they automatically decide that you're not smart enough. So the ways to prove them wrong, and also the students, be yourself, show them that we are from Kenya and we are all smart. We are international students and we are smart and we can do that. So we also remember to inform our students about the different solutions or centers that can be able to help them perform better in school. We have writing centers at the university. We have student associations and organizations. We have recreational clubs. And you can go to a community and you need to start participating, be active. If you have something to give, please give it in that community. As I speak from Alabama A&M, I started a tennis camp for children in 2016. So I do tennis for underserved children in community of inner city community. And most of the kids look like me, because when you look at tennis, the USTA or the Grand Slam tournaments, you don't see people that look like us. But I have a skill that I got while in Kenya. I'm able to impact the community. So we encourage our students to find their passion. And if you have a passion for something and you have a talent and you know you can give it somewhere to somebody, go there and get involved in your community. So there are so many ways in which we can be able to, we are trying to help our students, overcome the challenges of international students. But most important, we remind them, stay in school, focus on your academics, and don't lose your visa status. Thank you so much. I can go on and on.
Professor Mbaha, let me say sorry. I can't imagine that you sneezed and nobody said, excuse, that was very that was very unfortunate, but I can tell you for sure, and most of the people watching this would relate to the same. There are so many interesting experiences that our communities and students have gone through, but I think the four of you are testimony that can be done. And what I always tell my students, regardless of where they're from, whether they are black or white or green, whatever it is, my whole point is believe in yourself, believe in yourself, believe in yourself. That's key. So then let's now turn on to Dr. Mshai. You've been fairly quiet. The problem with the professors is like that. We're always talking, we're in the classroom talking, so excuse us. We'll probably get you one class so that you get used to talking. So please bear with us. You don't know what's wrong with these professors. Sorry, it's what we do for a living. So Professor Mshai, Dr. Mshai, let's talk about the Kenyan community abroad. I think that's important. I think all of us have come here for the same goal: improve our lives here in the US, and by extension, make our families and the country back home proud. That's the essence of it. We do meet in many functions, whether those are weddings, funerals, and stuff, and we do act as one. And I'll tell you this, and I've been to several countries, and every time I go to different countries, people see this thing here. They can quickly notify me, hey, oh, see, oh, we all have this. Oh, this is new. I think every Kenyan in the US who is here, please make sure you have this, right? There's a need for us to get to a point where, quite frankly, with COVID-19, we need to get to a point where we need to start acting one. And I think that's what Professor Cherono is doing, trying to pull us all together to help one another, and more specifically, the international students. From your end, what do you think we should do as Kenyans here in the US to make sure that these students, and I'm talking about international students, lead a good life, graduate, and be more productive members of the community? Because quite frankly, based on the challenges that Professor Diambu was talking about, there are a lot. But what do we need to do as a community?
Thank you, Dr. Jeremiah, and thank you. I am so happy that I was preceded by professors. They have many words that are very impactful. So, as a community, I'm a community leader. What role does community play within the international students? When I look at my own life, I came here, as everybody else has said, as an international student, and I was an old man too when I started my undergraduate in Auburn University, then my master's at Virginia Tech, and a PhD from North Carolina A&T. As an engineer all my life, I see a life that if I did it alone, I would not have succeeded. I stand here, I am where I am today together with my family because I stand on the shoulders of other people. I call them the giants, whether it is my faith, the giants of faith, academic giants, professional giants. I stand on their shoulders. And hence, it's my time to give back to the community, and especially to the community of international students. So many things have been said and all true. Rather than me repeating each one of them, and as an engineer, I'm going to be very specific. As a community, we need to look at what season are we in, and what are the challenges that our international students facing today. If you look at success for our community and our future leaders, as Professor Gerono said, we need to reach out to them. So we've spoken a lot about what do the international students need to do. Now I am talking about what do I, as a community leader, need to do. I need to think outside the box. I need to devise ways and means of seeking out these international students. These are tough times, and some of them may not want to show their faces or even show up. Hence, it is my duty to reach out, seek them out, and bring them out. Point them into the right direction by way of mentoring them. Point them in the right direction by way of introducing them to the community events, Zoom events, by the way, they don't have to be physical events. That could mean, as a community, let's organize an international Zoom day where we bring our international students. I'll start with my own city, Indianapolis. Let's have a Zoom day for international students. Let them talk about the challenges they are facing, and let us as a community respond to those needs. Then we can also start pointing them to organizations like KESID, Professor Gerono's passion and what she started. It's a great opportunity for our international students to connect. I cannot imagine what the international students are going through today with online classes. My 20-year-old son is a senior in college, and he is really, really exhausted and worn out by doing all these classrooms online. I had to devise ways of getting him out of his room, right? So he can go maybe to the basement and take some classes there, somewhere else, and just rather than spending the whole day in their room. Who is advising these students who are not, number one, not meeting their professors every day, not meeting their colleagues, their fellow students every day? Where do we play as a role? As churches, community churches, can we go a step further than organizing a Sunday service event? Can we reach out specifically to international students? So what if only one of them joins? That one will go tell another and another, and we'll start working with them. Hence, let me also talk a little bit to the students themselves. As international students, you have uniqueness that you bring on the plate. And when you think of yourself in 5 years from now, when you graduate with your undergraduate degree or master's or PhD degree, you will join a community and you will be a professional somewhere. Start cultivating those skills today. And remember, success is an equation, right? It is a function of many things. And I can sum up like this: success has positives and negatives. Focus on the positives. Make sure you are very strong on those positives that you identify. And for the negatives, seek out help. Go to KESID. If you join KESID, one of the Zoom sessions, you will find great mentors in the industry, like myself, across the board, whether it's medical, nurses, engineering, any field. You'll find a mentor there, somebody who has a passion to hold your hand and walk you through. I'm a recruiter for my company. I recruit engineers. I go to campuses to recruit engineers. And I see the things that we are looking for, lacking in our international students. You need to connect with KESID and other organizations so that you can start learning, what do I need to do today to be able to enter into the marketplace and succeed? Because I'm not going to change this, right? But I got something between my ears. It's not a pumpkin. I got something between my ears. And I will show them what I have between my ears. And they will call me. So what I'm trying to say here is, as an international student, envision yourself as a person going through a journey. And along this journey, there are dogs that are barking as you go along the journey. Don't stop to throw stones at every dog that is barking. Focus on your destination. Don't stop because COVID came. Don't stop because tuition issues arose. Don't stop because you're feeling lonely. Don't give up. Stay focused on the end game. Seek out when your community calls on you. Please respond. Return those calls. When somebody like me invites a student for coffee, please come over. Let's share a cup of coffee. Even though with masks on, we will figure out how to take that coffee, right? We'll figure it out. But in between, as we take that cup of coffee, we will have a discussion that will somehow encourage you to move to the next level. I said here at the beginning, I'm not representing my company, Cummins Inc. I'm not representing it, but it has given me exposure and a lot of wealth of knowledge that I can share with future students and future professionals. But if you're hiding yourself as an international student, even when I have some that I've invited for coffee, never showed up. Round 1, round 2, I don't do the third time. That's my simple rule. I will invite you the first time, the second time, the third time, I'm not coming after you. You have a role to play in your life. That is what I mean. You have a role to play in your life. Don't give up because of any of those obstacles. Stay focused. And thank you very much for this opportunity.
Dr. Mfai, thank you so much. That's quite encouraging, particularly coming from the other side. It's encouraging. So let's move further. And I think this is just the beginning of conversations that will follow, so that KDRTV, KESA, and KESID can work in partnership to tell a positive story. And I want to go back to Professor Cherono. One of the interesting parts that really I've listened since March when we started these shows is from our audience. People were amused the fact that, wow, they didn't know that there are these very highly educated and well-placed Kenyans in the U.S. A lot of people have reached out. That's exactly what they're telling me. Right? They're surprised, and I wondered where have all these people been. And hopefully, you are coming here will help a lot of people. But on the other hand, though, there are those ones who say, "No, look, that is a professor. I cannot talk to a professor. I can't pick a call and call Professor Cherono or Professor Baha. No, that's out of my league. That's out of my reach." But I think, as you said earlier on, your story began from very humble beginnings. I listened to Professor Nyanguya talk to him the other day. I thought I was just talking to my dad. I just listened to Janet. I listened to you, Professor Cherono, and I follow you very closely. We are ample and very simple human beings. let's go around and talk about, give a words of encouragement or words of wisdom to our students. So I'm going to be pattern somehow, Professor Chirono and Professor Mbaha. There are a lot of women watching you, and particularly young girls. Please try to stress on that one when your turn comes. And then Professor Ndiangui and Dr. Mushahi, there are a lot of men across the US right now, a lot of Kenyan men, whether they're in their 20s, 30s, 40s, or 50s, very smart, but for some reason that are not explained publicly, they're not really venturing into education as much as that. So hopefully you give them some words of encouragement. So let's begin from you, Professor Chirono, words of wisdom to our international students.
Thank you so much, Dr. Okari, and thank you, my colleagues, for really taking time to be here today. Like I said, this organization and this endeavor is dear and very dear to my heart because I really want to pay back and do what I can do to support international students. Like I shared before, I came to this country as a mother. And now that this is October, this is Domestic Violence Month. I'm going to share in the open there, I am a survivor of domestic violence. So in the midst of being a student, an international student, I went through domestic violence, and it was difficult. So going through acculturation, domestic violence, trying to keep my status, it was very difficult. So in that process, I ended up being a single mom who was going through a lot. But through that, I made it through. I survived. So I'm here as a resilient woman who made it through all odds. I was actually in a coma. But I got out of that hospital and I said, God, help me. I'm going to get up and move. So what I want to tell you students is, wherever you are, whatever you're going through, do not be discouraged. Do not give up. We never give up. You're going to get up and move. You're going to get up and move on. So I want to encourage you, as said, to let you know that I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what challenges you're going through in your life. But as an international student, remember, we have come so far. And this is not the time to give up. We are not going to look back. We're going to look forward. We have a good Lord who is there to support, who stands by us all the time. Today is Sunday, so I'm going to throw that in. If it was not for God and my family, I would not have made it here. But now the beauty is that you have an extended family. You have a family in Dr. Ndiangui, myself, Dr. Baha, Dr. Muchai. We are your family that Dr. Janet and I did not have. We did not have that support. So we are here to stand with you every step of the way. We are here to listen to you. If you need to pick up a phone call, most of you have my phone, you have my number. Call us and reach out. We are human beings. We are your brothers and sisters. We are your mothers, and we're here to listen and to support you. Take a phone call. One of us. Do not be isolated. Join a community group. Call somebody. I'm going to give an example. The other day there was a conversation that was going on in Quito. And Janet, you remember that conversation? There was an international student who needed some help. So my response was, I told Lily, who has my number, I said, Lily, give that student my number. So Lily did, and I talked to the student, and it so happened we are from the same place, small world. So I said, Lily, give that student my number, and we've been talking with the students. So this is a small world. Reach out to somebody. We are so connected. We are all communities. Lily is part of us. By the way, Lily of Quito is just graduating. So we're here to support you. We stand together as leaders. We're human beings. So reach out to the community. Do it with you.
Let's go to, thank you, Professor Ron, and thank you for the great work you've done for many, many, many years. And sorry about the domestic violence issue. Sometimes bad things do lead to good things, and let's always appreciate the positives. So let's go to Professor Mbaha. I'm gonna stick to the ladies, and then I move on to the guys. I'm not being biased here. We get that. So talk to a student population with these factors. I did put these figures before. If we look at the statistics, according to the National Center of Educational Statistics here in the U.S., it actually shows that more women are graduating from colleges. In fact, it shows that almost 59% of graduate students are women, 54% who hold PhDs are women, meaning if you look at what's happening in the country, there are more women going to colleges and graduating, meaning that over the next decade or two, there are more women really who are going to go into the workforce. And what we're trying to say to the Kenyan international students, and actually even those who migrated who are residents or citizens, is that even the women really can take advantage of that fact and still tell a good story. Go ahead, Mbaha. Yeah.
That we have been seeing around the world. Like one time I was visiting Kenyatta University, the evening program on City Center, and I realized majority of the students in the graduate class were women. Yes, we are on the road to empowerment. And for our young girls, those are the models that they should be able to look at. Professor Gerono and others, we are so many over here in the USA and around the world. I have friends in other parts of this, in diaspora, in other areas, and you can always be able to reach out to them. So for those ones aspiring to come to the USA or go study abroad, we have people that we can always connect you to. I had a student that was interested. She was just accepted at that's not international, but Nairobi University. And she was going to do nuclear science. So she didn't know what it entailed. But because I have a friend who is also pursuing a PhD, and for her, she was admitted for master's. I have a friend that is pursuing a PhD in the same, and she's in South Africa. I was able to connect them. So the student got reached to her mother who knows me, and she was asking about this, and I was able to connect the two of them, and the PhD student is now mentoring. This one was just started a master's program. So we find that we have students that are going into the STEM area, they're going into education, they're going into engineering, and our being here and showing them that we were able to make it despite all the challenges. As mothers, coming here as a mother, you've left your family, you're worried about your son, your daughter, and what's going on. Sometimes family members can keep calling you, but you should never let that interfere with what you have purpose to do. My friend from Tanzania was saying she would look at the four walls, an empty house after classes, and when she went back, and she would just start crying. It's until she was able to get out. We can't find you if you cannot come out of your house and call us and reach out to us. We don't know where you are if you don't get out and reach out to people. So she would cry, but when she identified a community that was able to support her, it was much easier. So women are doing, we are here, we are modeling, we are role models, and we want you to be able to do that. One of the other things that you realize, as you come to the USA, your status is going to drop. I left a very good job at Kabarak University, came as a student, and when I would show people my apartment, they were like, okay, so is that how you're living? We had to pick furniture from the garbage, the ones that are graduating are leaving their furniture there in sufurias or cooking pots, and you have to pick those and go start a life. Yes, your status will drop, but you should just stay focused, because within 2 or 3 years, it's going to change, because once you do very well, you should be able to actually get a job. There are opportunities. We have OPT, we have H-1B visas, and some schools or organizations will offer you, green card. So there are so many opportunities. For women, international students, there is a scholarship known as the PEO scholarship, International Peace Education Scholarship. I am a beneficiary of that, and that scholarship caters for women from developing nations. So there are so many things that you can be able to do. Thank you so much. I think that's the only thing that I can be able to tell them at this point in time.
Okay. Thank you. And there's a lot. So they will be reaching out to you. Trust me, you have a lot to offer. So it's time to give back to society. So let me move further to talk to the gentleman. And I'm not really tying you to talk about men, but I think give your male perspective. Professor Ndiangui, starting with you, give words of encouragement or wisdom to our international students, and by extension, our Kenyan brothers here in the U.S. And I think based on the numbers that I provided, the fact that women generally across the country, and more specifically even within our Kenyan community, women are doing much better socially and economically, it has some interesting ramifications individually and even on families. And by extension, and I think I did get the hint of what was happening in Quito, it has very disastrous emotional and psychological effects on the children who we are really trying to build on. So speak to the male students, Professor Ndiangui, give them words of encouragement.
When I listen to Janet and Jelano, I'm very encouraged because what the ladies are doing, even those groups of Kwitu, KASIP, and other organizations, is amazing for the empowerment of the women, and that should be it. That is the right way. They should do that because we have known gender inequalities. But in the process of doing that, we must also be very careful that we don't leave the boy child so much. Because stability in the home requires empowerment of both genders. What is happening with our men sometimes? When the women are growing, then we still want to take our position, particularly if we are not growing at the same rate. And it looks like there are easier paths for men, for the women to grow, like they take the jobs like in the health sector or even education, there are more women there too, and they grow much faster, both socially and economically and in their professions. Many of us men, we are more settled with our jobs, with our businesses, with whatever else we are doing, and the growth is not as rapid. And what happens is slowly we start feeling like the women is bringing a lot more money and the man is feeling low. And then culturally, I still want to be the husband, I still want to be in power. And slowly those nonsensical issues of like domestic violence come into play. Oh, and then Tukana, he doesn't know I'm the man here. And then you start also getting yourself drunk stupidly and getting drugs and getting into other relations outside. People, there's nothing you need in a woman you cannot get with your wife there. People, talk to her and both of you can grow together. People, you can also go to school even if you're working. Take a job like security or something, whatever which will give you time to study. People, let us remember that we are in a different environment, and those cultural aspects where you are on top and all that has to go down, and we are together. You are taking care of the children, taking care of the home. Everybody is involved, but we grow together. And when we grow together, you reduce that nonsense of domestic violence, because that is an evil creeping in our society, even people killing one another, and that must be destroyed. I like what the women are doing, and I like what Come Now is doing with Kemen. We must kill it. Our men have the opportunities like everybody else. Yes, the path for women might be a little bit easier of going through RN and then nurse practitioner and then doctor, but we too can do it. And it doesn't matter where you come from. One of the greatest things, Jeremiah, let me tell you, I'm so proud about. Our men are very smart. Our women are also very, very smart. Kenyans are very smart. I'm telling you, when you meet them from all corners, you see them here. It's North Carolina, that's Alabama, that's Indianapolis, go to Seattle. We got great people, but we need to empower one another. Let me just address the students, which I mentioned it. Reach out to us. Please. There are people who are actually honored that somebody reached out to me. I was very encouraged this week. There was a conversation going in the WhatsApp group. Oh, I need to reach out to that professor. I can't remember his name, but I don't know how to get to him. He's in Florida. I know that. Then one student from Alabama, Moffat, I want to say the name, I can say the name, said, there's this professor, there's this student who is a bit shy because he doesn't know your name, and I just decided to call on his behalf, I said, thank you, Moffat. That's it. What's the number? This is the number. I called immediately. I know those kind of things. Sometimes you said it, oh, these are professors. No. And by the way, anybody living up there, that's nonsense. I'm still the Motherquine village boy. Thank God I'm here. I'm a professor now. I'm just who I am. And I think I live a better life just being me and not pretending to be anybody else. And each one of us are talent. Jeremiah, I can't do what you do, and I'm so proud, my brother, for what you do here. Mushai, I can't do that in engineering. Janet, I cannot. But there's something I also, Gerono, there's also something I can do you cannot do. We all have a talent. We can support one another, and community, please come together to get those students. The other thing is, I want to address the communities in Kenya. People, these students who came to America came to study, not to be your milking cow. People, listen, these students are struggling just like the ones struggling in the University of Nairobi and my university or everywhere else. Please support them. Don't always keep on asking them for money. It is too stressful. I know they promised you that they will be supporting the younger brothers and sisters when it sold those cows and anything else that was there. But they're also struggling. Give them a chance to finish their studies. They will be able to support you better if you give them a chance and not stressing them. Because Mara, they start paying for their food, for their tuition, or for sending money for their brother who has been expelled from school. Support yourselves there. Support them too. We are a team. But once again, lastly, I want to say that the community must come together. We must all come together. These are our children. And that stupidity of, oh, that's Kikuyu, that's KESID, that's Karaji, that's rubbish. That's rubbish. We are all Kenyans. We are all together. A child, I am so glad about children from every corner. We have to, Gerona, I see her like my sister. I've not seen the Karaji, the whatever. Even the other day, my nephew was marrying, my niece was being married to Kipuchuba. I said, Gerona, did you send Kipuchuba to my village? These things happen. We are together, Don't bring that. I can only help people from Manakwani. No, even those ones of Porto need help. Those ones from Griama need help. Those people, we are all a team and we are very smart people. Let's empower each other, please. Jeremiah, I can go on and on, my friend. Take it over.
But by the way, that I can't agree with you, man. That's why Professor Gerono is clapping. I join her doing the same. That echoes it. If you look at the screen as is, surely this is the face of Kenya. We've drawn participants from literally every part of the country. And I think having all of us come here, this is the story our people back at home should be seeing. I mean, I respect the tribal things, but at least at this level, this is really what we need to do. So to you, Dr. Mushahi, I think one of the reasons why the female population is doing good, and they should continue to do so. I'm a father, I have daughters as well. That's great, and sons. That's great, but in part because they like nursing school, and then nursing school, then they grow to the socioeconomic aspect of it. I had the privilege of working in corporate America for 10 years, right? One of the challenges I noted, just that before I moved on to full-time teaching, most of our men have a difficult time penetrating into corporate America. They come here and told, look, if you are a man from Africa, there's no way you can make it in corporate America. That is not for you. That is for white, non-Asians, and the like. But when I'm a member of the National Black MBS Association, and also a member of the Hispanic MBS Association. What I see, the guys from that part of the world, African Americans, Hispanics, the men have the mentorship programs where they try as much as possible to mentor the young people from the very early age so that they can go in corporate. So give your words of encouragement to our population, more specifically to men or young men who like to join corporate just like you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, wonderful, yes. Wonderful. Okay, great. So if you look at me today, so I joined Cummins after my graduation with my doctorate in engineering. I worked in R&D for 12 years and started exploring other options within the company. Today, I am the guy in charge of North America, US, and Canada in terms of taking care of our service locations and ensuring that they have the technical capability to service our products. I say that not to give myself a pat on the back, but to say it is doable. It is doable and it can be done. You need to come in as a young professional or even an older professional. The very first thing you need to seek out for is a mentor. And that is why I am so sold out to mentoring, because had I identified a mentor in my first or second year, I wouldn't even be where I am. And I'm very happy where I am. But possibly I would have been even a little bit higher. So seek out a mentor. Know who you are. Speak up. for yourself. Nobody is going to speak up for you. You have something to bring on the table. And I said that before. You have something to bring on the table. But the culture here is the people who are speaking the most tend to be seen as the people who are bringing the greatest value addition. Our culture sometimes makes us feel like, hey, I want to just keep quiet here until I get something to say. No, it doesn't work that way. Speak up for yourself. When others are speaking, share your ideas. They may not always be good, but share your ideas. So that's one. Number two, if you have been derailed in your career or in your family life or in whichever other way, if derailment has occurred, there is always a comeback time. You can take time to reevaluate, why am I where I am today? Men, we are not very good in making friends. And hence, when we come even to the corporate world, we are sitting in our cubicle thinking that as if I deliver all that is required of me, I am doing okay. Then you get surprised at the end of the year when you get that annual performance review that you didn't get ranked number one. And you are like, what on earth just happened here? I thought I was doing great. So you need to have a circle of friends who will tell you, this is great, you are doing great. And somebody else who will tell you, that was a stupid idea, don't speak like that, like that again. Be careful. You need people who can tell you as it is, both ends, right, in your life. So that's the way, to me, I have found to succeed in corporate America. Men, like I said again, are not very good in making friends. So if derailment has occurred, don't feel ashamed of reaching out to somebody and saying, hey, look here, I need help. Something happened in life, but I need to take a stock. I need to reevaluate. I need a new beginning. Find out people who can help you. They will not laugh at you. Most people will not. They will hold your hand and walk with you as you walk the journey back to being on the rail again and sailing your own ship in life. But you got to be the captain with God on your side. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. You know, I'm even sitting back now listening. I'm like, let me continue listening to these words of encouragement. They're brilliant. I think, thank you guys. Probably what I want to do here, because we're having other panelists standing by, running for political office here in the state of Minnesota. Hopefully you guys are going to come back. I'm going to go around so that I give you 1 minute to make a closing statement, beginning with you, Professor Cherono.
Much for your time, everybody. What I want to tell our students is, please stay connected. Do not stay in isolation. At KESID, we have mentors. We actually started a program called Circle of Care. So if you have any issues, if you have any challenges, you need somebody to talk to, we have a Circle of Care for men, and we have a Circle of Care for women. So please reach out to KESID, talk to one of us, any of us here in this panel. We will be more than glad to talk to you. Stay connected. We call that social investment. When you come to this country, we need people. We need each other. We need one another. I also want to speak to parents who are in Kenya. If you're still in Kenya, or if you're listening, if you are coming to the United States, or if your child is the United States, please encourage them to be a member of the community. A lot of the times we hear about the issues that they have after something has happened. There is a problem with immigration. They're having a problem with their college career. They're having a problem with an accident, or they're sick. Please stay connected. Do not wait until you have a problem, then you stay connected. Again, join us in KESID. We have a WhatsApp group. We have a Facebook group. We have a Telegram group. We have Twitter and Instagram. Just join us and let's be together. Let's empower. We need one another. I also have mentors, Dr. Ndiangui, Dr. Michai, Dr. Janet. We talk to them every day. I ask them questions. So we all need each other. Dr. Akari, we all need each other. No one knows everything in this country. Thank you so much. We hope you can join us in our next or in our future KESID events. Have a lovely Sunday. God bless you. And students, we love you and we're here for you.
Okay. Thank you. I can't add more. That's excellent, Professor Cherono. Professor Mbaha.
from Dr. Gerono, Professor Gerono, because that kind of covers a lot of what I was going to say. But I'll finish with a story. When I was writing my dissertation, I was said to fail the comprehensives. My defense for the proposal was postponed. The dissertation was also a challenge, from the view of the professors. A lot of time you're doing your work for graduate students. When you're writing that dissertation, you are writing the dissertation for the professor, what they want. So you have to give them what they want. It's not about what you know. Because if you insist on what you know and how you want it, it will just delay your getting out of the program. So as long as you have a supervisor or an advisor that is looking into your dissertation or master's thesis, you have to go by what they want. That's the only way you'll be able to finish. You may have your ideas, but shelve your ideas for another publication or something like that. So there are times I would say I identify a group of support, a friend that was able to support me through the program. I have a bench at the gardens of the Athens Garden, Botanical Gardens, where one day I sat and I cried, almost giving up. But because I had a friend that was able to hold my hand, it allowed me to go through the process. So sometimes it doesn't have to be your way. You have to play by the game that's going on in the academic area. Know the policies in your department, in your university. Know who you can be able to go to. And even when you seek advice from people in higher status, please think about the solution they're giving you and pick what you think will be able to work for you so that you can go through this process. It is going to be a difficult process for you that came for master's, PhD. Maybe you are a first-class student, first-class honors, number one in class 1 to form 4 and the first-class honors at the University of Nairobi. But when you get here, your supervisor is the one that will make the decision. So you really have to know how to play that game. Thank you so much.
Very good. Thank you. By the way, there are so many questions that have been posted here. I've seen so many questions. Unfortunately, we'll not be able to answer those questions. Professor Gerono, if you don't mind, next time we can arrange so that we can have these questions answered because there are people standing by for another show. But very good. So a quick question though here, Professor Ndiangui, as you make your closing statement, somebody is asking, how can one join the organization as a mentor or mentee? And there are a lot of these questions. So as you make your closing statement, you respond to the same.
Thank you so much again, listening to those before me. I am so honored as I'm so treasured again. And Jeremiah, one more time, thank you for doing this. For joining mentoring, let me start with that. We have the link, and you can get to the KESID website, and Geronimo will send that to you, and we'll be able to connect. We want you to be mentors. We want as many mentors. The harvest is great, but the workers are not as many. But for the international students and everybody else, I want to tell you, life is a story. And it can be a very boring story if it was all very good and everything went on very well. Sometimes when in the valley is building our story, these are the chapters of life. That's what we talk about. That's what you hear Janet and Gerono and Muchai, every one of us talking about. Because I went through these problems, that's why I am who I am now. Hang in there. There's no night without an end. It will come to an end and they will come very soon. Even in all these political situations, we'll overcome. Again, hang out with good people. The thing that I find, and I feel so sad that we used to do those kind of things, is many people hanging out with people who, the party can only be good if you are drinking and having drugs and all that kind of nonsense. Please avoid self-destructive decisions. They're going to just destroy you. They're no good. You'll never find anything good out of them. Keep the main thing the main thing. Remember why you traveled all the way, why people sold their cows and everything else and had raised these Arabe for you. It was not to come and drink alcohol. There was alcohol in Kenya. It was not take drugs. There was that in Kenya. It is to study. You told them you're going to study. Focus on your studies. What about all these challenges I'm going through? You'll be able to overcome them better if you are sober and not when you are drunk and with drugs and the other related problems. The other thing is, put yourself in other people's agenda. Mushai talked about it. We all call you, but call your scores too. We are available. And bother me a little bit, then I'll solve your problem so that you stop bothering me. Put yourself in other people's agenda. I go to the university president, I tell him this and that. And then hang in there, my friends. Seek help. This we overcome. We overcome together. Join us. We are a team and we are ready to help. I repeat, I add this. I don't help because of you. I help to get the blessings, and God blesses me a lot with more people I help. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Last word, thank you, Dr. Shese, and hopefully you will come back on exclusive interview with somebody. One of the topics I'm interested in is how we can get some of our brothers and sisters who've been very successful in corporate. Hopefully they can come on the show to share their experiences as a way of motivating young people to get to corporate and also succeed. So last word from you, Dr. Mushahi. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Jeremiah, and thank you, the entire panel. This was great. I'll summarize it this way. After such a wonderful meeting, what is the action to you, the person who is watching, the international student? What action are you going to take? To you, the individual who is looking to be a mentor, what action are you going to take? Take a paper and a pen today. Right? What am I going to do different that I wasn't doing or I was doing? Take action, write it down. If you don't, it's wasted. Write an action down that you are going to take today. And here's my last closing remark to our fellow international students. Choices make champions, champions make choices. Make the right choices today. You will not live to regret. No matter how many dogs bark on your journey, you will not live to regret if you make the right choices. So again, remember, choices make champions, champions make choices. Thank you very much. This has been a great pleasure to share our experiences. Thank you.
Thank you. Last word, Professor Chirano. You want to close up, Professor Chirano?
I just shared the contact you, the phone number and the email address for KESID Foundation. If you can post it on the link for the students who are interested, check the WhatsApp group. So it's at kesidfoundation@gmail.com, or you can call us at 336-615-1558. Again, thank you so much. I'm going to share one little story and that will be the end of it. And this is the connection between KESID and KESA. I'm a president of KESA. And I remember, like Janet shared, when I was going up for promotion, I remember meeting with my university administrator and I had met all the requirements, everything. The only thing I did not have was I did not have leadership or any service at an international organization. Now, at that point in time, those of us who are going up for tenure can understand. So I looked at my administrator. I don't want to say the names at the level. I said, who knows me in this country? I said, I'm an international student. Nobody knows me. Who is going to put me in their organization? She says, well, if you don't take care of this, I don't think you're going to get your tenure. I left out of that office crying. And that is when I went on the internet and I Googled, and that is how I found KESA, Kenya Scholars and Studies Association, that the president was Dr. Otiso. I called Dr. Otiso. I said, when is your conference? I joined. I said, can I volunteer to do anything? So I volunteered to serve as a regional representative. And that is how I was able to get my tenure. I mean, I had met everything, but there was just one little thing. So to me, being connected to these Kenyan organizations, KESA and KESID and all the other organizations will come a long way. You never know when you're going to need that. Thank you so much. We appreciate. I just wanted to throw in that we need one another. We need each other. We need our Kenyan organizations, and let's continue to support one another. God bless. Have a lovely Sunday.
You know that we appreciate you, and I'm sure our viewers are very thankful that those who are watching right now, those who will be watching in the days to come, will obviously appreciate. And this is just the beginning of many more conversations to come. just in part for us to drive a positive diaspora narrative. One more time again, I want to thank you, Professor Chirono. You've done incredible job, really. You're carrying the flag of our nation very high. Just know that the community and the people of Kenya are so proud of you. Janet, you're 29. You still have a long way to go. Thank you so much. You're doing great. Do us proud down there in Alabama, Sweet Home, Alabama. Professor Ndiangui, I spoke with the other day for 2 hours. I thought I was just talking to my dad. I thank you for all you're doing. I'm going to call you for advice and guidance. Trust me. And of course, Dr. Mushahi, thank you for all you do. I'm sure many of our young people will look up to you and many others for guidance. Again, thank you so much for talking to KDRTV and more importantly, talking to our viewers. So, and that will be it. We're going to take a quick commercial break. In 1, 2, 3 minutes, we'll come back and talk to a number of political aspirants here in the state of Minnesota. Okay. Yes.
Sign up today and register your loved one. We know how stressful it can get to take care of the healthcare needs of your loved ones, especially when they live far away from you. Money transfer services have expensive fees. They cannot ensure that your money is spent on the intended healthcare needs. And there are many questionable pharmacies that sell low quality, unsafe, and even counterfeit medications. That is why we created Diaspora, a secure, quick, and cost-effective way to pay for the medications of your loved ones through our network of accredited and registered pharmacies. So here's how it works. Meet David. He lives far away from home. Unfortunately, his mother was recently diagnosed with diabetes, but she can't afford her new medication. So after funding his Diaspora account, David enrolls his mother as a beneficiary, and a unique PIN code is issued. Think of this as a digital voucher that David paid for in advance. David's mother presents the PIN code at one of our accredited and registered in-network pharmacies. The cost of her medication is deducted from David's account, and his mother can walk in and out of the pharmacy with the medication she needs. It's as easy as that. David can also assign his uncle who lives close to his mother as a caretaker to help her follow the new diabetes treatments. For extra security, David can also create one-time PIN codes and manually confirm and approve medication purchases too. It's easy to send more money home and hope they got spent on buying safe medication. But what if you can have control over how your money is spent, gain access to safe and quality medication, and purchase multiple medications for multiple family members who are in need? Your money goes a lot farther, and healthcare becomes a lot more inclusive. Diaspora was created by Diaspora members for Diaspora members that help provide greater access to safe, quality, and affordable medications for your loved ones back home. It's time for your loved ones to get the quality medication they need, and for you to get the peace of mind you deserve. Sign up today and register your loved ones for free at diaspocare.com. We know how stressful it can get to take care of the healthcare needs of your loved ones, especially when they live far away from you. Money transfer services have expensive fees. They cannot ensure that your money is spent on the intended healthcare needs. And there are many questionable pharmacies that sell low quality, unsafe, and even counterfeit medications. That is why we created Diaspora, a secure, quick, and cost-effective way to pay for the medications of your loved ones through our network of accredited and registered pharmacies. So here's how it works. Meet David. He lives far away from home. Unfortunately, his mother was recently diagnosed with diabetes, but she can't afford her new medication. So after funding his Diaspora account, David enrolls his mother as a beneficiary, and a unique PIN code is issued. Think of this as a digital voucher that David paid for in advance. David's mother presents the PIN code at one of our accredited and registered in-network pharmacies. The cost of her medication is deducted from David's account, and his mother can walk in and out of the pharmacy with the medication she needs. It's as easy as that. David can also assign his uncle who lives close to his mother as a caretaker to help her follow the new diabetes treatments. For extra security, David can also create one-time PIN codes and manually confirm and approve medication purchases too. It's easy to send more money home and hope they got spent on buying safe medication. But what if you can have control over how your money is spent, gain access to safe and quality medication, and purchase multiple medications for multiple family members who are in need. Your money goes a lot farther, and healthcare becomes a lot more inclusive. Diaspora was created by Diaspora members for Diaspora members that help provide greater access to safe, quality, and affordable medications for your loved ones back home. It's time for your loved ones to get the quality medication they need and for you to get the peace of mind you deserve. Sign up today and register your loved ones for free at diaspocare.com. We know how stressful it can get to take care of the healthcare needs of your loved ones, especially when they live far away from you. Money transfer services have expensive fees. They cannot ensure that your money is spent on the intended healthcare needs. And there are many questionable pharmacies that sell low quality, unsafe, and even counterfeit medications. That is why we created Diaspora, a secure, quick, and cost-effective way to pay for the medications of your loved ones through our network of accredited and registered pharmacies. So here's how it works. Meet David. He lives far away from home. Unfortunately, his mother was recently diagnosed with diabetes, but she can't afford her new medication. So after funding his Diaspora account, David enrolls his mother as a beneficiary, and a unique PIN code is issued. Think of this as a digital voucher that David paid for in advance. David's mother presents the PIN code at one of our accredited and registered in-network pharmacies. The cost of her medication is deducted from David's account, and his mother can walk in and out of the pharmacy with the medication she needs. It's as easy as that. David can also assign his uncle who lives close to his mother as a caretaker to help her follow the new diabetes treatments. For extra security, David can also create one-time PIN codes and manually confirm and approve medication purchases too. It's easy to send more money home and hope they got spent on buying safe medication. But what if you can have control over how your money is spent, gain access to safe and quality medication, and purchase multiple medications for multiple family members who are in need? Your money goes a lot farther, and healthcare becomes a lot more inclusive. Diaspora was created by Diaspora members for Diaspora members that help provide greater access to safe, quality, and affordable medications for your loved ones back home. It's time for your loved ones to get the quality medication they need and for you to get the peace of mind you deserve. Sign up today and register your loved ones for free at diaspocare.com. We know how stressful it can get to take care of the healthcare needs of your loved ones, especially when they live far away from you. Money transfer services have expensive fees. They cannot ensure that your money is spent on the intended healthcare needs. And there are many questionable pharmacies that sell low quality, unsafe, and even counterfeit medications. That is why we created Diaspora, a secure, quick, and cost-effective way to pay for the medications of your loved ones through our network of accredited and registered pharmacies. So here's how it works. Meet David. He lives far away from home. Unfortunately, his mother was recently diagnosed with diabetes, but she can't afford her new medication. So after funding his Diaspora account, David enrolls his mother as a beneficiary, and a unique PIN code is issued. Think of this as a digital voucher that David paid for in advance. David's mother presents the PIN code at one of our accredited and registered in-network pharmacies. The cost of her medication is deducted from David's account, and his mother can walk in and out of the pharmacy with the medication she needs. It's as easy as that. David can also assign his uncle who lives close to his mother as a caretaker to help her follow the new diabetes treatments. For extra security, David can also create one-time PIN codes and manually confirm and approve medication purchases too. It's easy to send more money home and hope they got spent on buying safe medication. But what if you can have control over how your money is spent, gain access to safe and quality medication, and purchase multiple medications for multiple family members who are in need? Your money goes a lot farther, and healthcare becomes a lot more inclusive. Diaspora was created by Diaspora members for Diaspora members that help provide greater access to safe, quality, and affordable medications for your loved ones back home. It's time for your loved ones to get the quality medication they need and for you to get the peace of mind you deserve. Sign up today and register your loved ones for free at diaspocare.com.
Yeah, a very warm welcome again. Welcome to KDRTV. Again, he's starting another session. Let's move on and now talk about having talked to those professors in a very interesting conversation about international students here in the US and elsewhere around the world. And earlier on, having talked to Sylvia Alexander of Concordia University, I think it's time now we switch focus and talk about what's happening in the country, that in less than 10 days, we're going to the elections in this country, right from the grounds to the national level. And we are honored today to have on the show a number of representatives who are going to run for the position here in the state of Minnesota. And we're having a login information. There are others will log in momentarily, but already on screen, we do have Noor Mohammed, who is going to talk to us about what he's doing and what he's hoping to do. Hey, Noor, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much to KDRTV for having me today.
Okay. Is it good to say, for the sake of all others, say Assalamu alaikum?
Walaikum salam, and for everybody, hamjambo watazamaji.
Asante sana na karibu sana kwenye runinga yetu ya KDRTV. So thank you for coming on. And as I said there in the intro, the other panelists are coming on. They're having login issues, but momentarily they'll join us. But let's begin with you. If you don't mind, introduce yourself to our viewers before we go into the details of the discussion.
So thank you so much for having me, Doctor. My name is Mahmoud Noor. I'm a state representative from this. I serve District 60B, which is in Minneapolis. That is the area of Steel Riverside, Seward neighborhood, University of Minnesota, the Southeast regions, Como, Prospect Park, and surrounding areas. So I serve that area. I've completed my first term. I'm also running for re-election. Grateful that I'm running unopposed, but we do have a bigger challenge. This is one of the most important election of our lifetime, because you're not only electing me back to the House of Representatives, but we are also fighting to flip the state Senate, which is run by the Republicans. It's one of the most important elections because we do have a presidential election, and the consequences of us sitting out of that means we are accepting things the way they are. We know what's at stake. We have got a responsibility. We have got a right. We have got something big to do from now today until the election day. And for those who say I don't have the time, guess what? Even as I speak to you right now, if you live in Minneapolis, you can go vote until 5 p.m. on a Sunday. You can imagine that. That's how we want our democracy to work, being accessible to everybody. And even for those who say, I don't have the time, I think we've got 1 week. You can request your ballot online. Make sure that you drop at one of the drop boxes, whichever city that you live in. So this is one of the most consequential, one of the most important election of our lifetime that we're dealing with this year.
Representative Noor, sorry, I don't want to take you to a civic class, but if you don't mind, for the sake of our people, and I think that's important. What actually is the difference between House of Representatives and the Senate?
A good question. We have two chambers. The Senate is we usually consider ourselves as co-equal with the Senate. The Senate has got 2 House members. Each Senate has got 2 House members. In the state of Minnesota, we do have 67 Senate seats. That means if you are a senator, you do have a bigger area to represent because you have 2 districts. And quite frankly, each representative has got almost 40,000. But for me, for example, because the students come and go, it may even go higher, but depending on the census. So representatives, we do have 134. That is, we don't consider ourselves as the lower chamber, as some people may think when they talk about the House. We consider ourselves as the co-equal branches, as co-equal sharing between the Senate and the House. So the Senate is 80,000 minimum representation. For the House is 40,000. We're close to the constituents. We run the same bills. As everybody knows, the civic process is when you turn an idea into a law process. The Senate and the House, they have to approve same and similar language for it to become the law to be signed by the governor. So as you know, you talked about the civic education. We do have three branches of government: the executive branch, which is the governor, the attorney general's team, the secretary of state, the auditor's office. They're considered as the executive branch. And we do have the Supreme Court in the state of Minnesota, the judiciary system, which is the other branch, and then the legislative branch. So the Senate and the House are part of the legislative branch in the state of Minnesota.
Professor, that is a nice class for me to learn, and I will refer to this video to get to know that. So, you've been into this, and you're an immigrant in this country, and I think our focus here on KDRTV is to focus on the African immigrants in the U.S. People come here for the American dream, get good jobs, whatever in corporate, in education, in healthcare, in so many departments. But specifically to you, why did you choose to enter politics, and more importantly, why did you run for this particular position?
Quite frankly, for individuals who see as a way whereby you are state representative, meaning that you are the one who is going to be making a big difference in your constituents. It's not a high-paying job. We didn't run to get rich or get benefits. We get paid $46,000. That's not a secret for the whole year. And when people say, "Is that all that you get?" Yeah, but because we are focused on the needs of our constituents, the state impacts you more than anything else. Besides your local elected officials, your city council, your school board, they have a huge impact on your daily life. The state, usually we discuss the policy issues, and the biggest discussion is the budget. We approve more than 50 billion biennium budget every 2 years, which is the first thing that we're going to be doing when we get reelected to the House of Representatives. We also set the policies. There are many policies that come through, whether it comes to healthcare, whether it comes to housing, whether it comes to education. That's where the rubber meets the road. And for lack of equity, lack of progress in our state, when you talk about the issues of opportunity gaps that exist, when our communities are not getting the benefit that people have been getting for a long time. And so I serve on the Health and Human Services. So I take care of those issues that impact on all of us with COVID-19 as we deal with it right now. The tragic outcome that we see, that people of color, indigenous, disproportionately impacted by COVID-19. That's why we're there, to speak up and empower our communities and say, this is something that we need to make a difference. When we talk about the education, when our children are not getting the best quality education, we need to fight for them. When we have housing crisis and people living on the streets, we need to make those differences. When it comes to employment, as you know, the COVID-19 has impacted more people of color, indigenous, the Black community as a whole. For that, we need to think outside the box, come back in a better way so that we can fight the virus, but we can also address the needs of our constituents. So there's myriad of issues that we deal with at any given time. And I'm honored to represent my district. With my colleagues, I've seen Hodan Hassan, and who is in District 62. She's going to introduce herself. But collectively, we have to work together. And for my friends from the diaspora, this is a moment that you need to reflect. I am a member of the Democratic Party, and meaning that we value that diversity. We want to bring people together. We want to address the challenges that we face. And that's why I was so passionate to run for office, to make a difference for the people that I represent.
So we also have, thank you for having on now, Hodan Hassan. If we can bring her on the screen as well. She's joining us. Do we have Hodan now? So thank you, Hodan. So Hodan, how are you?
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Doctor, for inviting me to your show. My name is Hodan Hassan. I represent, currently I'm a state representative from South Minneapolis. And the reason why I ran for office is they say representation matters, and that's a reality. When you're not at the table, you're on the menu. People are making decisions about your life. They're making decisions on policies that impact your daily life. They're making decisions about, policies about education. We know Minnesota has one of the best educations in the country for white students, but it also has one of the worst outcomes for Black and Brown students. We know that Minnesota is a wealthy state, but then when you look at the numbers, the difference between the white community wealth versus, Black, Brown, and Indigenous people, it's disappointing and it's a shameful numbers. So, by profession, I'm a social worker. I, worked for the county. I worked for nonprofits. I worked for in the private sector doing mental health and doing therapy. The reason why I ended up in politics versus, being a shrink and, listening to people's problems is because I have seen so many policies that impact, people of color in this state. And I didn't see enough voices that are addressing the problem. So I am seeking re-election. I have served 2 years with Representative Noor in the House of Representatives. And the reason why I'm seeking re-election is that there is a lot of work that we need to do. We need to close the opportunity gap for Black and Brown and Indigenous students. Every child in Minnesota should have the opportunity to be successful, should have the means and the resources to graduate from high school and either to go to college or to go to, technical school and get those skills so they can have a decent job. Every child should have the means to live a productive and meaningful life. Every family should have the means to, be able to provide for their families, to have health care coverage, to have stable housing. There's housing crisis in the state of Minnesota. We live in a very wealthy state. We should not have, members of our communities sleeping in parks in this cold weather in tents with no heat, no running water. So those are the issues that drove me to the state legislature, and those are the issues that are still driving me to seek for re-election.
Mahmoud and Harden, I thank you for talking to KDRTV, but most importantly, I really need to thank you for deciding to go public, to run for public office, which I'm sure is not an easy job. A lot of people who have come to this country do not want to be in public life like you've done. So whatever you're doing right now, I think on behalf of the immigrant community, you are doing us proud and you have our support. So let's talk about this again. Most people come here. What I know, I've attended so many meetings where people want to go back to Africa, whether it's in Somalia or in Kenya or Nigeria or whatever country in Africa, they want to go back there and run for political offices. I've also had, many committees where people are really raising funds and organizing strategically to go back to Africa to run for political offices because they believe they can't make it here. But we already have experience. We have testimony. Noor and yourself, Hadan, you've already won the election. Noor is already going back again, and you most likely you're winning. We wish you the best. So, do you mind just be very specific? What are the two main challenges that you faced as an immigrant running for political office here in the U.S.? And let's start with you, Mahmoud.
It's a good question. I think you hit the issue clearly. When many people don't see themselves as this is their home, a place where they're raising their kids, a place where they're earning their income, a place where they can expand their opportunities, because this is the land of opportunity. But those barriers that we face, we can address them. So the key point of running for political office back home, it's for those who are looking for a different alternative. And quite frankly, we need to invest right here. We need to start building right here because this is our home. This is where our kids will be staying, and this is where their future is. the barriers that you face as a candidate. This is not my first time running for the same seat. I tried 2 other times before, and I did not succeed. Number one, you need to build your name. Number two, you need to build a team that will support you from the beginning until the end. And that means you have to invest your time, you have to invest your energy. By profession, I'm a computer scientist. I had a good job at the state, but I quit that job. So you have to sacrifice a lot in order to do this work that we do, which is a thankless job. For the things that we do, we put it forward because we believe in what we're doing will make a difference. And quite frankly, we see that every day. It's an incremental change that we see that will make the big difference. But if we are not working together, whether you are from any other place, from Africa, from Asia, or from any place that you may think, if we don't have that collective voice, if we don't empower one another, if we don't build a future that we want, we don't just want to survive, we want to thrive, as Maya Angelou said. That's what we need to do. The other issue is when people are raising millions and thousands, that's not the amount that we're raising for the house. It's up to 65,000. We always tell people we can build power together. We can help one another. We can build a strategy that works for all of us, but it's going to take all of us coming together and looking through the lens of equity, looking through the lens of inclusiveness. That's how we will make a difference. And I think that's a challenge that we all have as we create an opportunity for people to understand how to run for political office, create an opportunity for young people to understand how to build a better place for themselves. So I challenge all of you, come to our offices once we reopen again, learn from us. Let's share the knowledge that we have with you so we can work on those issues that impact all of us together.
Sounds good. Thank you, Representative Noor. Hadan, I don't want to tie you to specific challenges, but I know people watching this will learn a lot in addition to obviously voting and voting specific for you. People will have to learn, and I apologize not to tie you to specific challenges. There are people looking at this and say, look, a woman, an immigrant woman with an accent, a Muslim, how does such a person really penetrate such a difficult market or place politically, win, and potentially win re-election again? In addition to those, what are the other 2 challenges that you faced?
I think in this political landscape, it's completely different from where we came from. We came from places where political elites are the only ones that stand a chance, but America seems to be proving that wrong because as you can see, 2 African representatives from the House of Representatives in Minnesota are talking to you right now. So that says a lot about the political landscape here and the platforms here. One of the bigger issues that I see, not only for myself, but I think for all newcomers and for all African immigrants or any other immigrants like us, is that you do not have a political landscape or political support network that's already built. Many people have that, and then they just rely that on support. As you said earlier, Doctor, many of our community members are so focused on back home that they don't even think about the political issues here or anybody running for an office. So you're coming in and you're trying to build something that you have no infrastructure for. So you're starting from ground zero. You have to encourage people to support you, and you have to build that network. You have to fundraise. And then when I get elected into office and I went to the House, I'm the only woman, African woman with a scarf who is in that house. My experience is different from most people in that house. So the struggle is not only when you're running, the struggle is also when you're in that seat as well, because you're bringing in expertise and experiences that are not of the average Minnesotan. You're bringing perspective that is really different from what's at the table. So that can, most people will see it as a challenge, and most people will push back because it's something that makes them uncomfortable. It's something that they're unfamiliar with. So, but I will say this, I will tell my African diaspora, please unpack your suitcases. This is home. We're raising our children here. The children that were born in this country are not going anywhere. They're not going back home with you. And they're not, gonna plan to be a minister in Kenya or Somalia or Ethiopia or wherever we came from, Nigeria, Liberia. This is home for them. This is where, if they're gonna seek a political seat, this is where they're gonna seek a political seat. And I'll tell you this, from school board all the way to the president, this seats, every single seat, impacts our lives, especially these local seats, the school board, the city council, the house reps, these senators, the governor. Those are people that the decisions that they make today are going to have a huge impact on your life tomorrow, whether it's increasing taxes or increasing school funding or increasing or decreasing health and human service spending. All of those things impact you every day. So these are positions that we need to encourage people to run for, to engage, to stay engaged. If there is one thing that I want to tell my African diaspora watching this, is that this is home. Unpack your suitcases and get involved in political life in Minnesota, in this country.
Well, very good, Hassan. Hassan and Mo, I never thought, it's kind of, you're challenging me that consider running for political office sometime in the future. I did. At some point, I think I'll get tired teaching in class and say goodbye to KDRTV and join you guys in the political process. I think that's important. Knowing what I now know. So the other interesting statistics that I've seen, there's a report, I think, of the governor's office that shows that children who belong to what they call minorities and who are under age of 10 are more than the Caucasians. Meaning that in the next 10 years, the minorities will be the majority in the state of Minnesota, which happens to be, I think, the most friendly, immigrant-friendly state in the nation. So with therefore meaning, to your point, Noah and Hassan, you're saying, no, look, guys, it's not just about the two of you. It's about what's at stake. Even the next 10 years, we are going to be the majority. People cannot continue to make decisions for us. We should place ourselves strategically so that we make decisions that will impact our children. And maybe when we're in the nursing homes or when we are gone, at least our children will have a good life. So do you know, you have this experience, and I think you have better data. Why should people, especially our immigrant population, vote? Because I know most people say, you know what, I don't have to vote. It's not for me. This is for Americans.
True. And I think the question that comes to mind is, when you see 34% of the children who are going to school are children of color in the state of Minnesota. And yet, the teachers who are teaching them are less than 4% of the teachers in the state of Minnesota are teachers of color. We have a problem there by itself. But then you have seen the increase. The people of color, indigenous, are the ones who are, especially immigrant communities, are the ones who are bringing the change in the population for the state of Minnesota. So having said that, if you don't make the decision to participate in the political process and vote on the issues that impact you on a daily basis, you have no one else to blame but yourself. So that's a challenge. When you're voting, you're not only voting to put somebody in office, you're voting for your interest. What is in it for you? Because those decisions that are made at the table, which will be contributed by your elected officials. By the way, it's not only about the election, it's about fighting for the change that you want yourself. Engaging your elected officials, holding them accountable by making sure that you contribute your views, your aspirations, your hopes, your dreams. And those are things that we believe in. All of us are trying to chase the American dream. And for us to do that, we have to knock out the barriers in front of us. That's why I believe, Doctor, I think it's more important than anything else to pay more close attention, because elections are cycles. We come and go. The House of Representatives every 2 years. If you don't like me, you can replace me, because I think there are other people who may be interested in that. But quite frankly, it's what do we want and how do we get those changes? You know, you talked about the nursing homes. There are several nursing homes which are run by communities from the diaspora who are putting time and effort to take care of those elderly, to take care of those senior members. They are contributing significantly to the state of Minnesota, to the health and well-being of those seniors, at the same time, the economic engine for the state. So what I'm challenging you to do is pay attention. Look at who's running. What are they trying to address? And by ensuring that you participate in the process, we can make a difference. And quite frankly, it's not the president only, it's also your school board members, from the presidential to the school board members who you will be electing this election cycle.
Good, thank you, Noor. Hassan, the other fact, interesting fact, by the way, I spent a lot of time doing a lot of research as well because I teach politics and economics as well. So an interesting finding is that across the U.S., it's almost 67% of American households are led by women. It's also an obvious fact that for immigrants, women tend to settle and adapt very quickly to the American market or the American environment. And therefore, they're very good to safeguard the children and prepare the children to live this life, with all due respect, not as much as men do. Most men, actually, we still tied to, you know, hey, look, I'm going to go back to Africa. I'm going to be the president of Kenya. I'm going to be the president of Nigeria. And the like. So there is that conversation among men. I want to go back to Africa. Not to tie you to the 2 points, Hassan, why is it important, right, that women participate in these elections? Because given what we know, surely they are preparing the future for our children.
So there is a saying that says, if you want to get something done, ask a woman. We mean business. When we want to get things done, we get it done. And I think that it's important for women, especially in the diaspora women, the African diaspora women, to be involved in this political process and to stay engaged and informed. First of all, knowledge is power. What you don't know doesn't exist. So if you don't know that your school board members are elected, and if they're discriminating against your students or your children because of their skin color, because of whatever, that you can replace them, or you can even run for that seat. If you don't know that process, then it doesn't exist. So I want to encourage people to stay informed and engaged and familiarize themselves with this process. But when I come back to women, I was elected in 2018. In 2018, we elected the highest number of women in Congress, in State House, in everywhere throughout the country. It was the year of the women. And no offense to my brothers, I'm not dissing men here, but when we were in the House, the last 2 years, if you look at the bills that we carried, because there was a large number of women that came in, it had compassion, it had intention. It was bills that were intentional, bills that had compassion, bills that had more care catered towards women and children. So when you elect a woman, that's what you're getting. That's who you bring to the table. Besides the expertise and the knowledge, you would have bills that are intentional, policies that are intentional, that are geared towards bettering the betterment of our community, specifically women and children. Women tend to take care of families. We are, natural caregivers. That's what God gave us. So if we are the caretakers at home, then we should also be the caretakers in the State House, in the Senate, in the governor's office, everywhere, because we will take care of things.
My mom told me about women, so I trust that. And in academics, there's also that discussion around who makes a better leader and manager. Is it a woman or a man? And the inclination is that women tend to do better than men, and not to be too harsh on our brothers as well. So let's move further and get home and talk about power of association. as you know, first, let me thank your families for giving you the support to do what you're doing. I think that's important to respect families. Without them, I'm sure psychologically and emotionally, you could not be prepared to do this. So KDRTV sends our appreciation for your family members for letting you do this. But also recognize that your family members are far and wide. Take, for example, if you meet any Kenyan in the US, will tell you Barack Obama is our brother. If you talk about any African person from the African country, will tell you that is our brother, right? Ilhan Omar, for example, she might be, I don't know in person, but she almost every immigrant person really owns her. Which also means the two of you and others who are running, immigrants who also come to the show who are running, we own you, your brothers and sisters. So you are carrying our flag. You need to know that whether we call you, don't call you, just know that you are carrying our hopes and aspirations. When things go well, we're very proud at home. If things don't go well, trust me, we are shedding tears. So let's talk about, in the hope that you win, or already you are going to the office, Noor, if how that I'm sure things are going to go well. We wish you the best. If you win, what two specific issues do you think you're going to commit yourself to working to make sure that at least our immigrant population, especially here in the Twin Cities, really, really live a better life than it is? Beginning with you, Noor.
Well, I think some of the things that we have been doing is to build wealth for our communities. There is a huge, significant gap when it comes to the wealth that exists, and how do we build wealth for our community. That's a big issue that we will all have to look through and say, how do I start raising my family, start a small business, maybe buy a home, maybe try to find a better job that will give you a good income. So that process of economic engine, that process of looking for that American dream and having a successful families as we go through this pandemic, we know significantly it has impacted the businesses, it has impacted the employment. So how do we build wealth? How do we create opportunities for everybody so that we can all succeed? So that's one of the challenges that I'll be faced on. I know we do have many issues and disparities that we have from education to housing and all that place. But when you have income, when you do have resources, you can make better decisions for your families, for your children. When you do have a good healthcare system, when you have got a benefit that will take care of you, one of the issues that we've been fighting for is to give people benefits that will run for a long time. The insurance package whereby every employee, in case of a challenge, you've got family members, you can have a family leave, and you can take care of your family for some time and get paid while you're doing that. So this is a process of building that opportunity in the window. Many states have those resources. We need to start building it in our state of Minnesota. We need to hear from you, your input, your ideas. There's nothing miracle or magic when we do legislation. It's about ideas. People coming to us and say, this is an issue that I'm facing. This is how I'm asking you to help and solve. We draft the bill, we run it through the process, and people get engaged. They want to know more about it. And you become the expert. You're coming to us, you brought an idea, you run with it until to the finish line. People assume that we're the ones who develop those ideas. No, it's the constituents that we represent, the people that, as you talked about, we have one community, the association that you talked about. Quite frankly, the people of color, indigenous, it's a group of us who are putting together an agenda that reflects the need for all of our communities. And we're going to be growing in the House and also in the Senate. That means we will have a voice at the Capitol, your voice, and for you at this moment is to think about how are you going to plan to vote for all of us. We come from a blue district. Other and I come from a blue district. But most of you live in suburbs, which is the big fight that we have. We need to flip the Senate. We need to make sure that we increase the number of House of Representatives. Right now, we're in the majority in the House. So we're asking you to vote for the Democratic Farmer Labor candidates from top to the president to the bottom to the House of Representatives. That is the ask today. Make the plan in the next few days. We have got less than 9 days as I speak to you. We can make that difference together.
Very good. Thank you. Let's Hadan, same question.
they say give a man or a person, I should be gender sensitive here, give a person a fish and they will live for a day, and teach them how to fish and they will live for a lifetime. Many times, when immigrants come here, there is this agencies that they work with that, a lot of them don't teach them, self-sufficiency. So for me, economic prosperity is like a top priority for me, and also housing and home ownership. Our, African diaspora does not have, when you look at the home ownership, the numbers, don't seem like we work hard. Africans come here, they know they have, all of us come here with an agenda. Like, I want to work this many years, get this, get that. And all of them have the spirit of entrepreneurship. All of them want to be business owners. They want to be their own boss. You will never meet an African who wants to be bossed around. All of them want to be their own bosses. So creating that pathway to entrepreneurship, giving them, removing all the barriers. There are a lot of barriers to successfully open a business and run it successfully. So whether it's teaching them the way that business is run here, how to follow the guidelines and the policies, how to stay out of trouble while you're running business here, and also home ownership. Home ownership, the Black community in general only had, I think, 19% in Minneapolis and St. Paul home ownership, or less than that. Whereas the white community has 78, near 80% home ownership. We know that home ownership is one way to stabilize communities. If you have, if you own a home, you stay in that neighborhood, that means it's a generational wealth. When you die, your children or your grandchildren will own that home, whether they, live there or sell it, however they want to use it. It's a wealth in that family. So wealth creation, economic prosperity, and home ownership are key things that Mahmoud and I are both focusing on. And reason being that you can't educate children if you don't have stable life, if you don't have stable at home and your family is moving and bouncing around, that child's, education will suffer for sure. It doesn't matter how smart they are. It doesn't matter how good the education is. If a child, you're a professor, you know this, I'm preaching the choir here. We know that if a child does not have a stable home life, that it's hard for them to learn. So stabilizing those homes so our children can have, a successful and a fruitful education and can, join the workforce, have the tools to join the workforce so they can be productive members and contributing members of society. It's all about our children. It's all about the reason why we're all fighting for is to make sure that, our legacy continues. And how does a legacy continue? It's our offsprings. So we want to make sure that those young people have the tools and the resources and the means to be successful. And it starts with stable homes. It starts with stable income. Those are like key things. I know it's a basic thing, but those are key things that we're committed to, that we want to make sure that, we are giving, the boots. People say, pull up the bootstraps. We want to make sure that we give boots with straps so people can pull, themselves up by those straps. A lot of times people either don't have the boots themselves or their boots don't have straps. So that's what we're trying to do here. And it all starts with putting the right people in the right place, voting for not only a person, but someone who has the same values. Please do your homework. Look at who's running in your area. Take time. I know my African community is educated. I know they can do this on their own time, but we are encouraging people to do your homework. Look at all the policies and all the, things that we have proposed in the last 2 years and in the House, and the Senate refused. We have to fill up that Senate in order to get things done, in order to continue the legacy of true equity. This state has real issues with equity, and that's what we're fighting for. And we can't fight that alone. We need you, not only to elect people, but to stay engaged in this process and hold them accountable. I get so many emails from mainstream community, but I get so little emails from my African diaspora. And I know there's a lot in my district, because it's about 30% Black. My district is 30% Black. So I know there are a lot of African diaspora living in my district, but I don't get to hear from them. And I am encouraging you to not only elect people, but to stay in the course, keep them engaged, talk to them about their problems. People will call you about their dead cat. Like, what do I have to do with a dead cat? Nothing. They will still email me about it. So that's how important this process is. So I'm encouraging my African brothers and sisters out there who are watching this to stay engaged in the process, not only elect people and then wait 2 more years for them to come back and ask for your vote again. Your vote means something. So stay engaged through that process so you can hold people accountable.
That brothers and sisters haven't been calling you. Trust me, I will be calling you every Friday morning. That'd be sure. And in part, in all fairness, Honan and Noor, in part, and I think this is why we at KDRTV are trying to do this. We don't have access to CNN or Fox News. We don't have access to WCCO. So you have brilliant ideas, but unless we have platforms like this where you can highlight your visions, it's very difficult for people to get to know you. And most of our people are doing 2, 3, 4 jobs. So if they're busy and taking care of kids, honestly, they don't really pay attention to what's happening in that case. And that's why we are trying as best as we can to create a platform where you, as a presenter, can say, look, I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. Come on here and share your views. And then our people will get to know you. And by so doing, we'll encourage the next generation of leaders. So I didn't get where they're coming from. I'm hoping that this is the beginning of many more conversations to come. So, but before I let you make your final closing statement to your constituents and the diaspora community, now let's talk fun. No, let's begin with you. You look very healthy. I seem to be gaining a lot of weight all the time because of COVID-19. I'm home seated, eating really good. So what keeps you going during these difficult times, my brother?
I think it comes from the family. You know, when your kids and your children are at home with you, you're taking care of them during this difficult crisis moment that you have, the blessings that we have our families, we're together. Although we've lost some of our loved ones, but we're still, thankful for giving us that opportunity. So the main thing that I keep on telling people is by helping others who are in need, when they call you and you help them, they're struggling with their unemployment, anything to deal with the state. I've got a garden which is across the street from me. When I've got a constituent says we can't do anything, and you fight for them and you see the fruits of the labor by making sure that you can make that call and make a difference for the life of an individual, that keeps me going every single day. Knowing that I can make a difference for so many people, and knowing that we cannot give up, we cannot give in. We must keep on fighting for a better life, keep hope alive, and quite frankly, that's what keeps me moving every single day.
Okay, so sounds good. Hodam, last week I saw you. I saw you for the first time physically. You look very, very happy, very energetic, and really ready to go. Even today, I see you. I'm sorry, there was a problem logging in, and you really want. Can somebody log me in? We have you in. You look energetic. You're extremely brilliant. So, what keeps you going?
What keeps me going is I have a young family. I have a 1-year-old daughter who is the joy of my life. She keeps me on my toes. It's a lot of work, but I want to make sure that her future is as promising as ever. I want to make sure that all our young kids can have what they need to be successful in this life. And that's where I, grow my strength and my energy from. That's what keeps me going. I have a wonderful husband who supports me on this crazy journey. I'll tell you that there are times where we're on the phone or on a call for 16, 17 hours. And you can imagine with a little child at home how challenging that is. but I have a family that supports me tremendously, and God has blessed me with, unlimited support. And that's where I draw my, energy from, just to say that, hey, God has placed me a reason in this world, and He has given me all the resources and the tools to fight for change, a change that's possible. So that's where my strength comes from.
Oh yeah, hold on. I can see the emotions. You're almost shedding tears. I feel it, and I'm sure our viewers, the viewers feel it. Just know, the two of you, I just want to let you know, if you haven't received that call, just know that you're carrying the flag for the immigrant population. We may not be calling you, but just know that in our prayers and thoughts, we'll always be thinking of you, we'll be supporting you, and whatever we need to do, we'll do it for you, your daughter and our children. We need to build a good ground for them. So just know that as we leave the show. So finally, I'm going to let you make your closing statements, and Ben will take me off the camera one by one. I want to make a closing statement. There are people watching in your constituencies, people within the Twin Cities, and African immigrants across the U.S. And interestingly, we also have a number of people watching this from Africa, Somalia, Kenya, Nigeria, Uganda, and other countries. So here's a chance for you to make a closing statement. I want to start with you, Noor.
Thank you so much to KDRTV. Thank you, Doctor, for giving us this opportunity. This is a moment in the United States where we come together to elect a president. As you all know, what we have been dealing with, and this is a moment of change. That moment of change cannot wait for anybody else. We have been empowered with that opportunity, that privilege that you have, that right that you have. Use it wisely. Please vote, because vote is important, because our lives and our future depend on which direction this country will take. Not only here in the United States, but back home in many places whereby the nation that leads everything, it's the United States. And if we don't have an ally to help our communities back home, we have nothing. Whether you live in Minnesota, or you live in New York, or you live in Ohio, you have a duty to come out and vote. Your vote is your power, and your power is your voice. Use it wisely. I'm asking for those who live in my district for their vote and support, and also to vote for Biden-Harris ticket, because that's the ticket that I'm supporting personally. But at the same time, you need to look down the ballot. For those who live in the suburbs in the state of Minnesota, this is your opportunity to participate and vote for the Democratic Farmer Labor candidates. If you don't know by name, Google them now. Get your sample ballot. For the next 9 days, the polling place is open. Please participate. I'm asking for your support. So I thank you all for listening and joining us today.
Okay, thank you so much, Representative Mahmoud Noor. And now, Representative Hodan Hassan.
We have seen what hate can do. We have seen what poor leadership looks like. In the past 4 years, we had a president who called the countries that we hail from terrible names. We had a president who was openly racist, who was openly attacking Muslims, immigrants, Africans, everybody. That's what poor leadership looks like. So I'm asking you today to vote, and not only vote, but vote for people that hold the same values as you do. I'm supporting the Biden-Harris ticket. So I hope you can join me in supporting that, because you will be voting for hope. You will be voting for taking back our democracy. You will be voting for decency. I am running for re-election for House District 62A. So if you live in Minneapolis, South Minneapolis District 62A, I'm asking for your vote. I will, vow and commit to continue fighting for real change in education, in home ownership, in economic prosperity, in everything that makes our lives better. You can count on that, but I want to count on you on voting for the Democratic candidates, the DFL candidates that are running for House, for Senate, and the Biden-Harris campaign, because that's the change that we need. If you don't vote for whatever reason, because you're busy or whatever reason, or you forgot because it's not important to you, just know that if we don't win this election, you have no one else to blame but you. I want to, thank Dr. For inviting us to KDRTV, and I want to say hi to my brothers and sisters who are watching us from all the way from the motherland. Thank you for watching, and call your sisters and brothers and relatives in the States and tell them to vote. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's a very powerful closing statement. I couldn't add any more than that. Thank you. So again, I think that will mark the end of our conversation today. Thank you for taking time. I'm sure the campaigns are hard. You're really making phone calls, and I'm going to take the opportunity on behalf of KDRTV to wish you the very best in your campaign trail. You win. And my hope is that as soon as the elections are gone, please come back to KDRTV. Our community needs your voice. Come back and talk to our community, because we need to continue engaging as we build a generation for our children. So thank you. And also want to take an opportunity to thank Sarah Hodaha. She was unable to come on today because of a busy schedule. She was on the show a few weeks ago, so she's a regular visitor here. I want to thank her very much. And also Representative Brad Tapke. He was actually the first person from the House to come on our show. He as well was unable to make it here, but he's a friend of the show. So again, on air, I want to thank them and appreciate them, and make sure that whenever they have a chance to come on, they have to communicate to our immigrant community, they're free to do so. But in the meantime, for the two of you, thank you so much. We wish you the very best. We'll be calling you. We'll be making phone calls, make sure that everything is good for you. So you have your immediate families, but the immigrant community is wishing you nothing but the very best.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.